Welcome back to another UCL Fantasy Deadline stream, this time out of Matchday 2. We've got over 2 hours left until kickoff, so let's answer all your questions and cover all the key topics. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of repeat questions about certain players, but just for those of you that are here right now, Erling Haaland has trained and travelled with the Man City squad. Harry Kane also trained today, despite missing the session yesterday, and Kylian Mbappé has a chance of starting tomorrow, but it all depends on how he feels. He also travelled with the Real Madrid squad, and at the moment, in terms of predicted lineups, it looks like Mbappé will be on the bench, but if he's feeling fine, he could break into that starting 11 and give Carlo Ancelotti a selection headache. Speaking of which, we're going to have plenty of those ourselves as UCL fantasy managers. We've got the likes of Kane and Haaland flagged, but also a few problems potentially with our teams, even if we started very well in Matchday 1, and that was all covered in the podcast throughout the week. The team selection, best wildcard and Limitless squads. Now with Courtois missing out, that is one key change from that Limitless team I made several days ago. I'd probably replace him with Alisson or Lunin, who will come in for him, of course, to replace him in the Lille lineup. So, well, in the lineup to face Lille, should I say. So that's my thoughts on that. In terms of the wildcard team, I wouldn't change too much about that per se. But let's get straight into your questions and comments as always. And let's keep on smashing the like button and getting this video to a 500 likes. That will be our ambitious aim for today. And also to make great strides towards 29,000 subscribers. We're only a few hundred away from that milestone. So Aviadem says there are reports that Haaland doubts that is true. I'm not sure what you're saying after in terms of ×3. I'm not sure if you're referring to the Limitless or something like that. But Erling Haaland has travelled with the squad. He'll either start or be on the bench. Now, I can't tell you for sure if he's going to start or not. Some predicted lineups I've seen, like The Independent, do suggest that he'll be on the bench. But then others, like UEFA.com, who are quite reliable, they get a lot of things spot on. They have put Erling Haaland in the 11. So no one really knows. That's the honest answer. But I personally believe Haaland will play, and he's my current captain at the moment. If I have any doubts about that, I either sell him or I'll change the captaincy to Lamine Yamal for the Tuesday. Sudindra says, hey Dylan, planning to sell Kim Min-jae and Gonçalves to one of a Man City, Leverkusen, Inter, or double up on Liverpool defence? Already have Trent. If so, who? Well, you'd be looking at Van Dijk or probably Kanate, who's a little bit cheaper. Ball recoveries galore for both of them. And you've got a bit of set-piece threat from the centre-backs. My personal favourite would probably be a Man City defender. Now, I talked about Acerbi in my team selection, and I was quite set on buying him, but as I'll show you very soon, he's not expected to start for Inter Milan tonight, so I'm going to look elsewhere. And for Inter Milan defenders, well, I'll go through the possible starters. That includes Pavard at 5 million. And one of Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool attacker under 7.5 million. I wouldn't go for an Arsenal attacker under 7.5. Saka's by far the best option. I know Trossard and Martinelli could be decent choices, but I'd rather go for a Liverpool or City attacker here. Diaz is my favourite. Jota is actually a doubt for this game. I don't think he was in training either today or yesterday. City is interesting. I think Foden would be my favourite. I think he'll start. But ultimately, I think I'd go probably for that Liverpool attacker in Luis Diaz. As for City, you're looking at Savinho. But yeah, I wouldn't go for an Arsenal attacker at 7.5 or above. Hello all, is Mbappé out? No, he has travelled with the squad, and that's all covered in the podcast throughout the week, and even in the comment section sometimes, if you keep your eyes peeled for that, I'll always provide updates on certain injury situations like Mbappé. No worries, Chris Evans, I'm glad to hear that you are able to make it on time, and good luck for Matchday 2. Yeah, UCL website does not show Acerbi playing. He probably won't. There was a Sky Italia lineup, I think it was, and it seems to have been confirmed that Inzaghi is kind of locked in with a squad, a starting 11 in mind, and Acerbi doesn't make it. So I'll show you that very soon. Yeah, I also agree, Jakob. Harry Kane did train today, and Erling Haaland also travelled with the squad. Mbappe is a difficult one, I'll be honest. I think Kane and Haaland are quite easy holds for me, but Mbappe is kind of 50-50 because there is a chance he doesn't start and he'll be on the bench. He can make a cameo and score against Lille. He's done it before in the past, but it's a very tricky one. If you can go to Lewandowski or one of the forwards discussed in my best Limitless team, I probably would, but we could get confirmation today in the next few hours of Mbappe starting, and in that scenario, I definitely keep him. Yeah, Serbi probably won't play. Yeah, so that's obviously going to be talked about a lot. Thank you, Nick, and that is correct. I'll show it on screen now just to make it easier for everybody to see. So let's go to the Inter Milan predicted lineup, but it seems to have been locked in. So Sommer in goal with Pavard, De Vrij, Bastoni, Dumfries, Zielinski, Kalinoglu, Mkhitaryan, Carlos Augusto, Taremi, and Arnautovic. No Lautaro Martinez and no Acerbi. Now, I'm a bit surprised about Acerbi, but you know, he is a 4-point family defender after all. He was quite nailed on in the past. Not so much this season, arguably, but Lautaro, that is obviously a bit of a shock, but he hasn't been in the greatest of form overall. He scored a brace over the weekend, but before that, I think it was 1 goal in 17 appearances for Inter Milan. Let's also show you some different stuff. So people will ask me about my predictions, so this is what it looks like right now. 2-1 to Stuttgart against Sparta Prague. Also Inter Milan 2, Red Star Belgrade 0, Arsenal 2, PSG 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 1, Atalanta 2, Benfica 1, Atletico Madrid 1, Lille 1, Real Madrid 3, and that's pretty much it because it's Predict 6 now. Not a big fan of the change, but I understand why they've done it. For the casuals, they probably should have done a separate game mode, but it is what it is. As for the chance of scoring amongst Matchday 2 goal scorers, Haaland is top with 69%, of course assuming that they all start. Lewandowski is second, Lautaro third, but it looks like he isn't starting, so bear that in mind. Salah is fourth, Thuram fifth, then we've got Kane, Foden, Taremi, Rafinha, Guirassy, and Jota. But Jota's an injury doubt. Thuram and Lautaro probably won't start tonight. And also, Guirassy isn't the most nailed on. He has been in good form for Borussia Dortmund, but in Matchday 1, he came off the bench and scored a brace. So just be careful with that one. As for the polls I put out on my channel, let's refresh it to get some more votes going on. So I asked all of you, what are your Matchday 2 plans in UCL Fantasy? And 71% said they're going to make free transfers, or it could be hits to be fair. 20% went for the Limitless, and only 9% on the wildcard. And as I discussed in my chip strategy guide, I'd like to save it for later in the competition. That could be in the knockout stages, but I am open to using it around Matchday 5 in the midpoint of the league phase. Another poll I put out was in relation to Harry Kane. So I provided the injury update about him. He was in training today at 1 p.m. British summertime. It's not really summer though, is it? What will you do with Harry Kane? And 69% said hold, only 31% sell. But I think we've got more votes than that now. Yeah, and it's actually gone up to 73% in favour of holding Harry Kane. Also, this is by Relevo. Kylian Mbappé has a chance of starting versus Lille tomorrow. Harry Kane is back. He's been pictured, so that's what I was referring to. And of course, I showed you Inter Milan starting 11. Let's go through some predicted lineups. So this also includes Inter Milan. So that's pretty much exactly what I just mentioned, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's spot on by UEFA.com. Red Star Belgrade, not of much interest, but you can see it on screen and you can find it on the UEFA website. It's always very helpful. They also give you a breakdown on the players that are doubtful or missing. For Borussia Dortmund, we'll likely see Kobel, Jan Kuto, Sula, Schlotterbeck, Ryerson, Pascal Gross, Emre Can, Adeyemi, Brandt, Gittins, and Guirassy. So no Anton, unfortunately, and that's why he's on the chopping block for my own team. For Celtic, the likes of Schmeichel, a decent 4-point family and goalkeeper, will start again. They've got some decent budget midfielders as well, like Kun and Maeda, who were mentioned a lot in the Matchday 1 deadline stream. So also a big kudos to those that did talk about them. For Barcelona, we'll likely see Inaki Peña, Koundé, Cubarsí, Inigo Martinez, Balde, Casado, Pedri, Yamal, Torre, and Rafinha alongside Lewandowski. But there are some conflicting reports by certain newspapers. Several of them do indicate that Ferran Torres will start, and then others suggest that will be Torre, the youngster, starting instead. But that's the only doubt. I think the rest of the team speaks for itself because, as you can see, Barcelona have a lot of injuries and, of course, the suspension of Eric Garcia. With young boys as well, respectfully, I don't think it's of much interest to you on fantasy managers, but if you are a young boys fan or maybe you back them for a shock, you can obviously go for some of the players that you can see on screen. As for Bayer Leverkusen, Hredaki, Tapsoba, Tar, Hincapié, Frimpong, let me just get this back up, Xhaka, Andrik, Grimaldo, Terrier, Boniface, Wirtz, and they've got no injuries whatsoever. There were some concerns about Grimaldo, but he's completely fine. AC Milan will likely go for Magnan, Emerson, Gabia, Pavlovic, Theo Hernandez, Fofana, Reinders, Pulisic, Loftus-Cheek, Rafael Leao, and Tammy Abraham. Pulisic has been in sensational form so far this season. As for Arsenal, the likely lineup, according to UEFA.com, is Raya in goal with Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Calafiori. There were some concerns about a potential injury for Calafiori, possibly even major, but I think he seems to be fine. He's in contention to start. The same goes for White, who remains doubtful. Havertz, Partey, Rice, Saka, Trossard and Martinelli still playing with injuries, but Mikel Merino is apparently with the Arsenal squad. That is a massive boost for the Gunners. Odegaard remains out. I think Tomiyasu is also very close to a return. Paris Saint-Germain, I mean, look, I have to say, I probably disagree with this lineup a little bit. It looks like Donnarumma will be back and start the game over Safonov. Hakimi, Marquinhos, Baggio and Beraldo will be the likely back four, with Fabian Ruiz, Neves and Zaire-Emery. It looks like Vitinha, who is available, might be on the bench because they want to go for a more physical team and deal with Arsenal's set pieces. That's the rumours I've been seeing on Twitter today. Also, Kang Lee, Kolomuani and Barcola. Ousmane Dembele is out. He has been omitted from the squad by Luis Enrique. Then PSV and Sporting. It's worth mentioning that Gonçalves is out, so that he's been ruled out. The other day when I made the videos and podcasts, it seemed like he was fine and they were kind of resting him for Matchday 2, but it looks like he's out until the international break, unfortunately. But all the lineups are there for both teams. I have to say, a very evenly matched contest on paper. Then we've got Man City, Ortega, Walker, Diaz, Akanji, Gvardiol, Mateus Nunes, Kovacic, Savinho, Foden, Doku and Haaland. Rodri is out for the rest of the season. De Bruyne remains doubtful and everyone else is available for the citizens. That's for the Tuesday games, by the way. There's still so many more for the Wednesday. So for Shakhtar and Atalanta, I'll kind of whiz through these. The main ones to look out for, I think, would be Lookman, potentially, and Retegui. Not a big fan of Atalanta defenders, but as you can see, not many surprises, if I'm not mistaken. As for Girona and Feyenoord, we do have a 4.5 million midfielder, technically in Brahim Gil, but it looks like he's not in the predicted lineup, so that's something worth mentioning. As for Feyenoord, they had a massive loss in Matchday 1 against Bayer Leverkusen, but they still have some decent UCL Fantasy options. Stengs, who is injured, he was a great choice last season in the group stages. As for Liverpool, they've gone for Jota in the lineup, but he is a bit of a doubt based on the recent training sessions, and the rest is pretty much the first choice Liverpool 11 we've seen throughout most of the season. Leipzig and Juventus speaks for itself. Di Gregorio is expected to start, but Thiago Motta, the Juventus manager, loves to rotate the goalkeepers there. Yildiz obviously got off to a flying start with a fantastic goal from outside the box and the Player of the Match award. He's another one to keep an eye on. And Nico Gonzalez on his Champions League debut with a goal and an assist. Leipzig, maybe not too interesting this season, but they've still got some good options like Xavi Simons. And let's go through the last few. Benfica and Atletico Madrid. So yeah, not too many surprises here. Lenormand is out with a head injury. That's obviously a key UCL fantasy asset, potentially at 5 million, but the rest kind of speaks for itself. Julian Alvarez could be a decent choice here, as well as Griezmann, who stole the show in Matchday 1. Monaco have some good options, by the way. They were really impressive against Barcelona, but I do feel the red card changed the game a lot. As for Real Madrid, Vinicius Jr. is up front alongside Rodrigo. No Mbappe in this predicted lineup, but that might change by the end of today. They do update this quite regularly, so always keep an eye out for UEFA.com. Aston Villa, Bayern Munich, Harry Kane is still in their predicted lineup, and both teams will go with their strongest squads available. And what we've seen throughout most of this campaign, I think Sasha Bowie and possibly Stanisic are the only players officially ruled out. Maybe Ibrahimovic as well, but Bayern Munich have a very healthy squad overall. Then we've got Club Brugge and Sturm Graz as the final set of teams in this lengthy predicted lineups webpage. So be sure to check it out on UEFA.com. It is very good. And in around an hour, I'll show you the lineups, the official ones for the early kickoffs today. But before we do all that, let's go back to my team and discuss the dilemmas that we'll all have. I know a lot of you will still be asking about Haaland, Kane and Mbappe. That has been covered towards the beginning, but I'm sure we're going to have to answer it quite a lot of times already. Keep on smashing the like button if you haven't already. Let's get this stream to over 500 likes, like I said. That is the ultimate aim. And subscribe if you haven't already. Check all the links in the description below for my Patreon and the championships for early access to my videos, amongst many other perks. If you are signed up, by the way, be sure to check out the FPL video I posted for Game Week 7, the transfer tips, so you can watch it before anybody else too. There's also my Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and many more links that will be of use to you. Thank you, by the way, for the super chat. Apologies for taking too long to read it. What are your thoughts on Trincao? I'll be honest, I haven't really seen much of him this season, and Haven't really considered him as a UCL fantasy asset, but he could definitely be one to look at. Of course, he has shown potential in the past. He's only 6 million as a midfielder, but yeah, it's a very evenly poised game, I think, between PSV and Sporting. And with Pedro Gonçalves out, maybe Trincao will be more of a talismanic figure in this game and link up with Gyökeres there in Matchday 2. So it's not a bad shout. I'm just not a huge fan. I mainly recommend Gonzalo Inacio at the back and also Gyökeres and Pedro Gonçalves, who is out. But that could definitely be a very nice differential. Sometimes you lot mention a very low-owned play like Yildiz, and I'm like, he might be all right, but I just haven't considered him too much, and then he does really well. So if you've got a good feeling about him, I definitely wouldn't discourage you from going there. Haaland or Yamal captain? I'm currently going for Haaland. I have both Rodri and Sabitzer. I'm planning to sell both of them. Who should I go for with similar price points? Bit of an awkward price. I still like Kimmich a lot, by the way. Maybe not for the next 2 match days per se, but long term, just a set and forget option at 6 million and below. I also like Gittins for Matchday 2 against Celtic. He's expected to start. He scored a brace against Club Brugge back in Matchday 1. And I might go for him, actually, to replace Barcola and then possibly get another premium defender in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Carvajal not starting. I'm not sure if it's absolutely locked in, by the way, with Carvajal, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. Let's see what else we have. Best replacement for Gonçalves, probably Gittins or Kimmich, depending on your chip strategy. There are many other options, of course. Even Kun and Maeda are decent, but I wouldn't back Celtic against Borussia Dortmund. Hi Dylan, fairly short. I'm going to use the Limitless this week, despite having a good team. Already, I think the fixtures for the big teams are good and little chance of rotation. Yeah, it kind of ebbs and flows, right? There's pros and cons for the Limitless in a rotation risk match day, or maybe not, like in Matchday 2. These chips do help you kind of cover rotation, but at the same time, you sometimes are thrown a curveball and one of your players on your Limitless is benched in the end. You can never really predict it fully, especially if certain managers are being quite coy in the press conferences. But if you feel the Limitless will give you a lot of points and you'll gain a lot, it makes sense, even if you're in a position of strength. So I don't really mind that. At the moment, though, I'm looking to save it for later in the campaign. Possibly Matchday 3, to be fair. I've always said between Matchdays 2 and 7. The Limitless team is literally on my channel, mate, and I covered this at the beginning of the stream. The only change I'd make now is Courtois out for Alisson or Lunin, which is depending on your preference. So just go on that video and it will cover all of your questions there. Probably in a little while I'll go through it again, but I'm not going to be able to go for the wildcard and Limitless repeatedly throughout the stream. Haaland, the better captain of Lamine. If he's fit and starts, then yeah, and he has travelled with the squad and also been in training. So I personally think he will start. But it's a very close battle. And what I like about Yamal is the fact that he was essentially rested over the weekend and still got a goal off the bench. Got the same front three, says FPL Hints. Thank you very much. Any more news on Kane? Not really. I mean, just the fact that he trained today at 1 PM UK time. He missed training yesterday, but it looks like he will be available. I just don't see him being benched. He is so important to Bayern Munich. It is a bit awkward, of course, with the orange flag, so to speak, in UCL Fantasy, but I'm fairly confident he'll start. What to do with Barcola? As mentioned in my team selection, I think he could be a decent pick in the long term, which rewards patience, but I'm currently looking at selling him. Despite having Kim In-jae, who isn't great for the next 2 match days, Anton probably won't start, and the rest of my squad looks good, bar Barcola, I'd say, against Arsenal away, but yeah, at the moment, I'd say probably a sell, depending on your situation. Yeah, Gvardiol, I think, well, through the lineup I just went through, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he was in it, but there's still a chance he does. Yeah, I think Haaland and Kane will play. Mbappé will be in the squad. It's just a question of will he start or not. Foden or Salah? Salah, but that's another possible change, by the way, in my Limitless team. Foden in for Saka. Well, Bellingham hasn't scored a goal this season, which is quite surprising, but yeah, it might just be points chasing in this case. He has been a bit underwhelming in La Liga, but I'm still quite happy to hold him for now. Thoughts on a Limitless? For my own situation, I could see some gains from it, but I'm still quite happy with my setup. If Haaland and Kane start, I'm more than happy to just roll with what I have. Now, if in the next hour or two we get confirmation of Haaland and Kane being benched or, left out suddenly, then in that case, I'd probably play the Limitless. But Otherwise, I'm very confident in my squad. I've only got 2 or 3 kind of weaknesses, so to speak, assuming that everyone is available. Yeah, Lautaro Martinez and Thuram aren't expected to start. Want to double up with Inter defense. Haven't heard you talk much about DeMarco. Is he a minutes risk? He's not expected to start, mate. So if you go back to the predicted lineup, and apparently it is confirmed now, so it will be Pavard, De Vrij, Bastoni, Dumfries, and Carlos Augusto. So that means no DeMarco and no Acerbi. So unfortunately, DeMarco isn't someone to really consider. He could do something off the bench, but yeah, I'd probably go for one of these defenders instead, simply put. I think Sommer is probably the least hassle. He's just nailed on week in, week out. He'll start for you. With Pavard, he offers good value this week, but in the future, you could see him rotated with Acerbi. So not a big fan of Pavard. Maybe De Vrij or Bastoni would possibly be my favourites. Now, Dumfries and Carlos Augusto have the most attacking potential. And I think Carlos Augusto is a little bit more nailed on than Dumfries, but I might be incorrect about that. And just to go back to the predicted lineups, and don't worry, I won't go through all of them again. Just the Man City one, since I was asked about Mr. Gvardiol. So in this predicted lineup, he is in it, Gvardiol. So a back four of Walker, Diaz, Akanji, and Gvardiol. But I have seen some rumours of Rico Lewis starting, so that could also change things a little bit. He could start alongside Kovacic instead of Mateus Nunes, to be fair. So, yeah, it's not set in stone, but I do like Gvardiol on the Limitless. Longer term, I think Akanji is also very good in this game with ball recoveries in mind. So, we'll go back to my team again. We can always go back to some of these screens later in the stream. Yeah, Andrik did score against Bayern Munich, but not a huge fan of him. Another budget option would be Gravenberch, who got a few ball recoveries and player of the match against AC Milan. Yeah, best 15 for the wildcard today. Pretty much what I talked about in my wildcard video. I don't think I'd change anything, if I'm being honest. I'm just going to get the image up on screen for myself, just so I can reaffirm this quickly. So, yeah, obviously Acerbi, who I eventually put in that team, I'd take him out for possibly Rico Lewis. It looks like he's going to start. Yeah, I think that's what I'd go for. You can always downgrade Gittins, although I'm not a huge fan of that. But you could go to Kun or Maeda, a 4.5 million option, really. And I think Kun or Brian Kiel would be decent. And then use that to go to Schlotterbeck at the back. But I think my preference to replace Acerbi would be Rico Lewis. I think that's the only change I would make. Lewandowski, Lautaro, Griezmann, choose one. Lewandowski. And it looks like Lautaro won't start, as discussed earlier. I also went through the lineups a few times. Thoughts on Valverde, Musiala to Elise Bellingham. Yeah, Valverde is actually a possible doubt to start. It's not injury related, but it looks like Ancelotti is considering resting him. A lot of Real Madrid fans aren't happy with that whatsoever. They thought it should have happened in a previous La Liga game. I'm not so sure about that. I think Valverde to Elise looks good. I'm guessing one of the reasons why you would do such a switch of, one duo to the other is because you've got triple-ups in both teams, or at least Bayern Munich. If that's the case, then fair enough, I'd go for it. But if you can, I just do Valverde to Elise. You can't make substitutions. Well, you can change things now, by the way. That'll be a bit awkward if you can't. But in terms of, bringing out your lowest scoring players for those yet to play, that happens during the sub window after today's games have done, and also before tomorrow's games. But yeah, that would be a bit strange. If it isn't working, maybe try the app. And if you are on the app, then obviously go on the website. Which two midfielders for 12.5 million? Bit difficult, but I think Gittins would be up there, and I'd probably say Wirtz or Yamal. Jorge says, hola Dylan, ¿qué piensas sobre Mbappé y Kane? Estoy pensando en cambiar uno por Lewandowski y me estoy inclinando un poco por Kane por jugar contra Aston Villa de visitante. ¿Qué piensas? Yo creo que Lille es un mejor partido que Aston Villa, porque te digo la verdad, Emery tiene un buen equipo ahí. Pero en mi opinión, es mejor vender a Mbappé porque hay dudas que va a empezar o no. Y con Harry Kane yo creo que va a empezar sí o sí. Estaba entrenando hoy, así que está todo bien para Harry Kane. Así que yo vendería a Mbappé por Lewandowski, pero siempre hay un riesgo con este tipo de jugadores que tienen mucha calidad. Pero yo creo que es mejor mantener a Harry Kane en este instante. Kane or Lewandowski? For Matchday 2, Lewandowski. Longer term, Lewandowski, probably a step below Harry Kane, but it all depends on the context. for match day 2, I'm going to go for Robert. Yeah, Elise is being overlooked. I'm a bit gutted I didn't go for him. But I already had Kimmich in play, so, you know, I could maybe forgive myself a little bit. But going for Kim In-jae just hasn't worked out so far. Is Bernardo Silva or Doku? Not a big fan of either. Probably Bernardo Silva. And I think Savinha would be my favourite. Better captain, Lewandowski or Haaland? With the doubt surrounding Haaland, you could possibly go towards Lewandowski. So the other day I was asked this, I said Haaland, but I think right now I'd possibly lean towards Lewandowski. Having said that, if we get confirmation of Haaland starting, I'll probably change my mind again. So it's honestly a 50-50 call. Back your gut. I do like the differential side of Robert Lewandowski compared to Haaland, who is such a template pick. But they're both facing very weak opponents. Young Boys lost 3-0 in matchday 1, and Bratislava lost 5-1 to Celtic. So I could see City going ballistic here. No, Anton won't start. That's why I'm looking to sell him. I just started UCL Fantasy Game Week 2. Any suggestions? Well, obviously it's a lot of points to make up because there were some really high scores in matchday 1, but just have fun with it. It's a really good fantasy format in my opinion, and you can use this time to kind of learn the trades. You've got a lot of different aspects to the game, but if you have played World Cup or Euro Fantasy, you might be a little bit familiar with this sort of game. But any suggestions? You can't play the Limitless or Wildcard in your case because you have unlimited transfers. So one thing you could possibly do is build a team specifically for matchday 2, then Limitless in matchday 3. But that could also be risky. It might push you towards wildcarding very early on in matchday 4 or 5. But in previous seasons, we did have this kind of chip strategy of using both of them in the league phase or previously the group stages. But things have changed now with the expanded format. I'll likely go Dumfries over Bastoni for my Limitless team because of the attacking returns, unless I go triple into defence. Yeah, it's more exciting, that's for sure, but be careful with that pick because beyond matchday 2, I could see Dumfries being benched, so it's just be very careful with that one. I think Bastoni's safer, but I don't mind what you've gone for. Yeah, Foden on the Limitless looks good. Let me just show you, by the way, since a lot of people are asking about Limitless teams. So let's go to this one. So this is the updated Limitless team following the injuries and stuff like that. So I've gone for Alisson and Sommer as the 2 goalkeepers, but you could also go for Lunin instead of Alisson Becker. No matter what you do, just make sure they play on different days. My 5 defenders would include Koundé, Grimaldo, Gvardiol, Schlotterbeck and Trent Alexander-Arnold. You could even go for a replacement for Schlotterbeck, to be fair. I'm not absolutely convinced about Borussia Dortmund clean sheet. They actually lost, I think, 5-1 very recently in the Bundesliga. Yamal, Wirtz, Foden, Bellingham and Salah makes up the midfield 5 with Lewandowski, Haaland and Vinicius. Other options would include Musiala and Saka instead of Foden. And possibly, I mean, you can't go for Lautaro now instead of Vinicius, but Gyökeres is still good, despite the fact that he's cheaper and you'd be tempted to spend a lot of money on the Limitless. I still like him a lot on this chip. But yeah, I'm really happy with this 15-man squad. This is probably what I'd go for if I activate the chip this week, which is unlikely, but still possible. Salah or Wirtz? Salah this week. Is Wirtz on penalties? I'm not sure about that. I think it's Boniface. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he's second or third in command. Foden will start. I believe so. In all the predicted lineups I showed earlier, he was in it for UEFA.com. Alvarez or Yildiz? That's a good question. I'd probably favour Yildiz based on the fixtures coming up, but very close one. I think Diaz will play against Bologna, but it's not guaranteed. Martinez won't play. He's not going to start anyway, so I'd go for Lewandowski. Very simple one. Dembele is probably out, yeah. All the reports indicate he's been omitted from the squad due to disciplinary reasons. Mandip says, what are your chip strategies? It's covered in my video, but essentially from matchday 2 to 7, I will activate the Limitless. I think matchday 3 is looking likely, but still, I'm keeping my options open. The wildcard will probably be used in the knockout stages or matchday 5 around that time. I'm still quite conflicted about that one. It depends on injuries and how my team looks in the next couple of weeks. Will Bernardo Silva start for Man City according to you? It's always difficult predicting City. I've done a fairly decent job this season in FPL when I made the predicted lineups videos, but I'd probably go for yes. I just couldn't guarantee it to you though. Thinking to transfer out Valverde and have Musiala, Yamal, Wirtz and McAllister's mids. If you've got a Barcelona spot available though, I'd highly recommend Rafinha as a one match day punt. I really like him, but If you've already got Lewandowski and Kubarsi, then fair enough. Best midfielder by 7. Do you mean 7 million and below? If that's the case, I'd probably say Kimmich overall. Maybe not for matchday 2, that would be Gittins, but long term, I think Kimmich's the best. Is there a chance Sabitzer starts? Yes. But yeah, like I said, all the predicted lineups I showed you, I'm not going to agree with absolutely everything they've gone for. I think with PSG, I disagree with a few picks, but yeah, there is a chance, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it looks like Gross will start instead, alongside Emre Can. No Arsenal defence on Limitless. It's PSG at home, right? I think with Arsenal defenders, it's the long-term gains by going for these players, but I could see PSG scoring, and in that scenario, maybe it's worth keeping Barcola. Yeah, Gittins is one of my favourite options. I've discussed him a lot throughout this stream. If you're looking for a budget midfielder for matchday 2, I'd highly recommend him. He's likely going to start, which he didn't do in matchday 1, but just bear in mind, in matchday 3, he plays Real Madrid, which is very tough, but the fixtures afterwards look fantastic. Jude or Foden? If Foden starts, I'd lean towards him, to be honest. Thoughts on Anton and Mbappé replacements? Rico Lewis for Anton. Just bear in mind, for anyone who might be tuning in now, Acerbi isn't going to play, it looks like, according to the Inter Milan lineups I've seen. It looks fairly locked in, by the way, by Inzaghi. The same goes for Lautaro Martinez and Thuram. So, yeah, for Anton, I'd replace him with Lewis at a similar price. And for Mbappe, you're looking at Lewandowski, I think. Thank you very much, FPL Hints. Massively appreciated. Dak Daniels, great name. Musiala to Yamal or Beraldo to a 4 million defender that actually starts. I think Musiala to Yamal. The only downside is that in matchday 3, I'd probably lean towards Bayern Munich in that matchup, but I think Yamal is a better option than Musiala. The best defender for this week? Close one, but I think Trent might edge it. The best captaincy choice on Wednesday? With my setup, it'd probably be Harry Kane. But I think overall, you're probably looking at Vinicius or Mbappe if he starts. But yeah, we don't know for sure if Mbappe is going to play, or at least start anyway. I have covered all these updates already in terms of Harry Kane, Haaland and Mbappe. Essentially, Mbappe has travelled with the squad, but there are doubts about him starting or not, and it all depends on how he feels. Undav, yes or no? For matchday 2, he's decent, but I prefer other options, to be fair. So I'd probably say no. It all depends on your team structure, though. If you need a budget forward, he's not really that bad. I prefer the Limitless for most people, but I can't speak for everybody. Everyone's got a different situation. In my own situation, I'd rather use the 2 free transfers if possible. Thank you, Joao Garotes. Not having City and Liverpool assets may tempt me. Yeah, in my case, I've only got Haaland and I've got no Liverpool assets, so I can understand your temptation. But look, you don't even have to go for Foden. That's kind of a risky pick. High risk, high reward, I'd say. But there's also Musiala and Saka, as mentioned earlier. Is Kane to Lewandowski advisable? For matchday 2 only, I think Lewandowski outscores him, but Harry Kane will likely play tomorrow. I think he's going to start, so it's always risky selling a player who just got 21 points in matchday 1, who's in the form of his life, it seems, for club and country. Kane or Lewandowski this week? Definitely Lewandowski for me, 100%. Captain Gyökeres, Yamal or Rafinha? I would go for Yamal. Yeah, Darmian, it looks like he's not going to start. Wait, is that true? Is that actually true? So, actually, I think it is. So, Pavard, De Vrij. I'm probably going to have to go back to the team again. Yeah, let's just go back to the team. So, this is the official lineup, apparently. So, it'll be Pavard, De Vrij, Bastoni, Dumfries, and Carlos Augusto. That will be the back 5. So, no Darmian, no Acerbi, no Thuram, and no Lautaro Martinez, no DeMarco as well. So, quite a lot of surprises there. Inter Milan are still up there in the Serie A table, but a bit shaky compared to previous seasons. Lookman or Adeyemi for Barcola? I prefer Adeyemi for matchday 2, but my favourite Dortmund asset, at least in the attack, would be Gittins. Yeah, I think Gvardiol starts, and he was in the lineup I showed you earlier. Yeah, Savio's a one-week punt I like if he starts, which is always a doubt. Vlahovic or Gyökeres? Haaland will play Gonçalves and Kane. Yeah, Haaland and Kane should play. Gonçalves is ruled out. So Anton replacement not including Lewis. Well, it was going to be Acerbi, but I'm probably going to go for Lewis in this case, unless I do something a bit different where I keep Anton and I sell Kim Min-jae instead to a Schlotterbeck or I go to another 5 million defender. But if we actually go to my team again, and let's actually go to my transfer plans, Barcola and Anton are the most likely to make way, unless we get some surprising news in the next hour or so. And ideally, I would buy Rafinha for matchday 3, or sorry, for matchday 2. I don't like him too much against Bayern Munich in the following matchday, but something I could do would be Gittins to replace Barcola, and then I've got 6.5 million to spend, and I could easily go to Trent Alexander-Arnold if I wanted to. So I do like those transfer plans. Let me know in the live chat if you like the look of it. Just say yes or no. I might put some polls out later, and I've got some already on my YouTube channel. Keep on plugging away at the likes and also subscribing. It'd be massively appreciated. Gittins over Foden, a safer pick on the Limitless. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Gittins at all on the Limitless, despite the cheap price tag. He's offering great value, and he's got so much potential. Should I take the punt on Haaland and Kane on Limitless? If you back them to start, then yeah, I think they're definitely worth it. But definitely go for Lewandowski if possible. I think he's probably the best forward in matchday 2. I think Gonçalves will be back in matchday 3. So essentially he's out until after the international break. Verts on pen, says Ben95. Thank you. You might be correct about that. Because I did say Boniface earlier, but I was probably wrong. Haaland or Yamal captain? At the moment, Haaland, but there are doubts about him starting. I'm fairly sure he's going to start. Best 8.5 million midfielder. Yamal or Verts? Probably my favourites. They both have some tough games coming up after matchday 2, but yeah, they're the two best ones. Then you're looking at Rafinha. Kimmich not good long term? I disagree, but everyone's got a different opinion. I was thinking about that, taking out Gonçalves in for Gittins and then improve Anton for Trent. Yeah, it does seem fairly simple. I'm a bit worried about my long-term structure. To be fair, look, if I do that sort of move, so Trent does play tomorrow, which I do like, by the way, because I have a bit of an imbalance at the moment between Tuesday and Wednesday, and you might be thinking, why does that even matter? For matchday 2, it's not really a big problem to have most of your players play today, then you can sub them out during the sub window for players yet to play, of course. But in matchday 3, it will reverse, and then I'll have more players on the Wednesday, so that kind of reduces my substitution potential, and I'll have more blanks in my starting 11, or at least it boosts the chances of getting more blanks. So hopefully you're kind of following my wavelength here, because I'm probably just, it sounds like I'm waffling, but that's honestly something to always consider with your UCL fantasy teams. We'll no longer have any games on the Thursday like we did back in matchday 1, but I do like Trent. Just a bit of a concern about the amount of money spent in that defensive line. It might actually take, you know, even up until matchday 3 or 4, I might downgrade one of these defenders in the end to then reinvest that in the other positions. But for now, it looks very strong for matchday 2. Best differential, I mean, that's a very vague question. It could be literally anybody in the game. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about that one, to be honest, because for matchday 2, it'll be a different answer to long-term, who's the best differential. But let me try to give you some now very quickly. So I'll probably say players with less than 10% ownership. That's kind of what I define as a differential. Mega ones would have like 5% and below. I do like Diaz for matchday 2. Not sure if he's the best one though. Rico Lewis is a decent budget defender as a differential, 8% ownership right now. Griezmann, of course, he showed you what he could do in matchday 1. Atletico can be a bit inconsistent with their offensive play, but yeah, I think he's fairly decent. And to be honest, I've recommended him a lot already. Gittins with 5% ownership. I really like the look of him. Also very cheap and accessible for everybody watching. Should I take a punt on Haaland? Sorry, I covered that. Not selling Kim. It's not ideal, but yeah, I might keep him. And also, one positive about keeping him would be having another option on the Wednesday, which also would come in handy in future match days when these players will play on the Tuesday, and I'll have more of a balance between those 2 days, if you catch my drift. But I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of Kim Min-jae right now. It was mainly a matchday 1 punt, and it didn't pay off. I don't think so, to be honest. And also, with his price tag, you can't really complain. He's got Celtic at home. Fair enough, he's got Real Madrid in matchday 3, but I'd rather have him than Barcola this week, and it also allows me to buy Trent or any premium defender to replace Anton, who is not going to play. I'd probably captain Lewandowski there instead of Yamal, but they're both great options. Back your gut. Kane to Vinicius, not for me. Yeah, he's been mentioned a lot in my streams. He was fairly underwhelming in Matchday 1, but then again, his entire club were on the day. Yeah, I think I'm keeping Haaland and Harry Kane. Szoboszlai starting? Yeah, I believe so. All the lineups were covered earlier, so just rewind a little bit. If you're on your laptop, you can easily preview the screen. So there was a section where I went through a lot of it. Thank you, Key, for moderating the chat. Any spamming like that, come on. You know the drill by now. Let's keep it friendly. Let's keep it also productive and answering as many questions as possible and covering everyone's questions. Lookman, Gross, Savio, or Wirtz Gittins for my Rodri Sabitzer replacement. Oh, Wirtz and Gittins are my favourites by far. Yeah, I'd go for that duo if possible. Thuram probably won't start, also covered earlier. Be sure to rewind. Lautaro won't start either. It will likely be Taremi and Arnautovic up front. It's up to you, mate, but I'd personally favour Erling Haaland if he starts, and I think he will, so that's why I'm going there. Lewandowski's a massive differential this week, though. I do like that. I mean, if you can afford it, then calm, but I do like Gyökeres still. He does have some tough games around match day 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, against City and Arsenal, but he can score in those games. They are home ties after all. Salah or Bellingham? Salah. Mbappé for Haaland? No. Well, I'm guessing there you're saying you're selling Mbappé to Haaland. In that case, I'd probably be tempted because there is a chance Mbappe's on the bench. If I play Limitless, how many transfers will I have in match day 3? No, you won't have 4 transfers. You'll have 2. I think in previous years, if I'm not mistaken, I think it might have been 2 or 3 years ago, you could actually roll 1 transfer and have 3 available for the next match day, but you can't have more than 3 at any given time during the league phase. You can't have 4. If I did my transfers for Game Week 3, then free hit this week, will it count? No. Which 2 should I sell from Mbappe, Anton, and Upamecano, and for who? I would probably sell Anton. Well, I would sell him, and the other 2 is tough. Because with Mbappe, if he starts, I like him a lot, but there is that doubt, and that's why you could sell him to Haaland, Kane, Lewandowski. You've got plenty of options there. At the moment, I lean towards Anton and Upamecano out. There is a chance Mbappe starts still. Just keep your eyes on any potential updates in the next hour or so. And we should have some lineups now, by the way. Let me see if UEFA have put them. I don't see anything just yet. But yeah, I'm going to have an eye on that. Welcome, Beardy. Thoughts on Kim and Valverde out and Elise Emre Can in? Yeah, looks fairly good. Just bear in mind, Elise plays Aston Villa away and Barcelona, and Emre Can plays Real Madrid in matchday 3, but I do like both options. I was probably wrong about Emre Can in matchday 1 because his minutes were very inconsistent in the Bundesliga at the time. I felt I was justified in my reasoning, but in the end, it looks like he's nailed on in the Champions League, so he's a good option. Pavle says, I almost forgot to fix my UCL Fantasy if I didn't see the live. Thank you. No worries. A few of my friends do the same thing. You know, they're very casual, but they see that I'm streaming or making a video, and that reminds them to do something, but I'm glad I helped. What's your thoughts on Çalhanoğlu? Not a huge fan. He was decent a year or 2 ago, but I think there are better options elsewhere. I mean, for 0.5 million more, you can go for Rafinha, Yamal, and Wirtz. I think they're levels above. Sub Di Gregorio for Kanachi, Atalanta, or sub Kim Min-jae for Lewis? I'd rather sell Kim Min-jae for Lewis. Which City defender is the best to pick? Look, I don't want to sit on the fence. There are 3 options that come to mind. Akanji, Gvardiol, and Rico Lewis. Last season, I had Lewis in the group stages. He was really good for me. And he's also very cheap. But I think my favourite would probably be Gvardiol. He seems to be the most nailed on. He can play centre-back and on the left. And he's also got ball recovery potential. And in certain games, like against Newcastle and Fulham, sorry, he plays Fulham soon. It was Brentford, sorry. When he came on for the second half for Rico Lewis, he played very high up. So, yeah, Gvardiol is probably my pick, but he is expensive. Is that, yeah, Gittins or Adeyemi? Gittins for me, but it's close. Should I get Frimpong? Who are you selling, though? That'd be the question, but Frimpong's fine. There are some tough games later, like Real Madrid and Liverpool. Possibly Anish. That is my current plan, but it's not locked in. The best 2 goalkeepers at a price of 4.5 million in the next 2 matches, the 2 you see on screen. They're not going to be amazing, but you've got rotation between the 2. So Blažević and Di Gregorio. Unfortunately, with the likes of Schmeichel, who could be decent, you do have clashes with any other goalkeeper you go for at the same price. Unless I've got an oversight there, but I'm fairly sure this is the safest goalkeeper pairing, which is also very cheap. That's the reason why I went for it. I think Coble, Raya are better in isolation, but they also have clashes with other goalkeepers. Salah in for Bellingham or Gvardiol for Kim Min-jae. That's a very close call. I think Salah's got a really high ceiling this week against Bologna, but Gvardiol is a nice upgrade on Kim Min-jae. I'd probably go for Gvardiol for Kim Min-jae. I'm the sort of manager that likes to fix my weaknesses, and I think upside chasing, when you go from one premium to another, there is a high upside, but it can also go against you. As we've seen in FPL recently, some people might have had Cole Palmer, for example, then they go to Salah, then to Saka, then back to Palmer, and they kind of miss all these points in the end. Yeah, between match days 2 to 7, Arthur. I've been asked a lot about chip strategies today, so I think it's worth going to the graphics that I made for that chip strategy guide again and quickly go through that. So, for those that aren't aware, the wildcard does allow you to make unlimited changes, and they are permanent. For both the wildcard and the Limitless, you can only use them once throughout the entire tournament, and with the wildcard, there are budget constraints, and all hits will be cancelled. And as for the Limitless, I've been asked this so much in not just this stream, but also just throughout the history of human time. If you make transfers, then play the Limitless, those transfers won't be carried over, and your squad will look exactly like how it was before you activate the Limitless chip, with no transfers being made. And with this, you obviously have no budget restrictions whatsoever. You can only use it once, and it is irreversible once deployed, just like the wildcard. And normal rules for substitutions, formations, and captaincy still apply. Here is a table showing you the differences between both of them, and also similarities. So one of each is available, that's the same. Also unlimited transfers, unlimited budget, no for the wildcard, and yes for the Limitless. And the team resets once the match day is over, no for the wildcard, and yes for the Limitless. As for transfers, you can only roll one transfer in the league phase with a maximum of 3 transfers. No free transfers are carried forward after activating the wildcard or Limitless. For every transfer you make beyond your quota of free transfers, you'll have 4 points deducted from your total, so essentially a -4 hit. Compared to the knockouts, fewer transfers are granted in the league phase, and this reinforces the popular strategy of using both chips early on. And this is the transfer table, by the way, for the new format. So, of course, match day 1 has already gone by. You can ignore the first column. Match day 2 to 8, you've got 2 transfers per match day. And of course, if you roll, you can get up to 3 free transfers and no more than that. And then for match days 9 and 10, you have unlimited transfers for match day 9, and then 2 transfers for match day 10. Unlimited transfers once again for the knockout stages in match day 11. And then it's pretty much the same as last season in terms of the second leg of the round of 16, you get 3 transfers. For the first leg of the quarterfinals, you get 5. And this pattern repeats all the way to match day 17 for the Champions League final. In terms of player limit, we currently have 3 players per club. Then it goes to 4 for match days 9 to 10, and it remains the same for the round of 16. And then for the quarterfinals, you can have 5 players from a single club, then 6 in the semi-finals, and then finally 8 players from a single club in the Champions League final. The OG chip strategy is to use both of them in the group stages, and this means you can target the weaker teams. However, this longer format of 17 match days does make it more plausible to save the wild card for later in the competition, but it's still quite a short format compared to FPL, for example. As for my chip strategy, my current plan is to use the Limitless between match days 2 to 7. I wouldn't recommend using it in match day 8 because every single team plays at the exact same time. That means you can't make substitutions and you can't change the captaincy. That lowers the ceiling of your Limitless. There are some plus sides, of course, of using a chip in match day 8 because of rotation and other factors, but I don't think it's worth using the Limitless in match day 8. As for the wildcard, I'd like to use it between match days 12 to 15, but I'm also open to using it around match day 5 in the midpoint of the league phase. An alternative strategy would be using the wildcard in the league phase as well between match days 2 to 8, and basically what I just said. So let's say, for example, Limitless in match day 2 or 3, and then wildcard in match day 5. And this is a strategy comparison between using both chips early and saving chips for the knockout stages. All of this is covered in my chip strategy guide, so be sure to go to that. It's still applicable for the rest of the tournament, and a lot of you have seen it already, but for those that haven't, I'd encourage you to check it out. The same goes for my how to play guide if you're unsure about substitutions, the captaincy, and how UCL Fantasy works with the rules, the ball recoveries, and the systems put in place. Let's now go back to my UCL Fantasy team. just for a little bit anyway. I'm not going to lock in my transfers until the lineups are out, although they're not too relevant for my setups, to be fair. Musiala for Bernardo Silva. Not a huge fan of that transfer either way, to be fair. I think I'd hold on to what you have. Gittins or Chan for matchday 2 and 4. That's a very difficult one. I think Emre Can. He's on penalties as well, which is really good. So I'd favour Emre Can there. So yeah, a lot of Haaland or Lewandowski captaincy questions. I'm currently going for Haaland. I think he's going to play. Ignacio says, Grande Dylan, gracias por tu ayuda, like always. Anton jugará? No creo que va a jugar. ¿Cómo ves Musiala por Rafinha y Valverde por Gittins? Dudo con Kane y Lewandowski, ¿qué vas a hacer? Me gusta mucho Lewandowski para la jornada 2, pero voy a mantener a Harry Kane en este momento. Él entrenó hoy a la 1 de la tarde en el Reino Unido y a la 2 en tiempo local. Así que yo creo que Kane va a jugar. No voy a hacer esa transferencia. Musiala por Rafinha me gusta mucho para la jornada 2, pero no para la jornada 3 cuando Bayern Múnich juega con Barcelona. Valverde por Gittins me gusta mucho. Hay rumores que Valverde va a estar en el banco en contra del Lille mañana, así que me gusta esa transferencia. Está muy bien. Y Anton es alguien para vender. Parece que no va a jugar mañana. Va a ser Ryerson, Emre Can, Schlotterbeck y quizás no creo que va a ser Ben Sabiani. Yo puse el equipo antes. Tengo que pensar otra vez quién es el último defensor. Pero sí, Anton parece que no va a jugar en la jornada 2. Any news for Haaland and Kane? Yeah, Haaland travelled. He's in the squad. He should play. As for Harry Kane, he trained today despite missing yesterday's session. You can replace one of them with Lewandowski. I think Harry Kane would be the one to sell, but you probably want him back as soon as possible, really. And Kane has a good record against Aston Villa as well, so if he does play, he's got a good chance of hauling still. Will Haaland play? Yep. I'll try to avoid some of these questions or maybe put a pinned comment because, yeah, we have covered this a lot. Robertson will start. I think so, yeah. But it's not guaranteed. Tsimikas did get the nod in matchday 1. Thank you. I panicked when I saw flags on Haaland, Kane and Mbappé was really close to hit a limitless. Yeah, look, with Mbappé, I'm not going to deny that there is a chance he doesn't start. He's the only one where there are some concerns because if he feels fine, he'll be put in the lineup. But we don't know that for sure yet. So I think Carlo Ancelotti will try to be quite secretive about that to maybe give Leo a surprise. Lookman or Adeyemi? Probably Adeyemi. Well, thank you for the source. I'll have a look at that, but that'd be quite surprising to me if Anton does start. If he does, I'd be happy to keep him, that's for sure. Get German football news. How reliable are they, though? I know they've got a decent amount of followers, but I'm not sure if that's enough. Yeah, they have put Anton in the lineup. They've gone for Kobel, Kuto, Anton, Schlotterbeck, Rice, and Emre Can and Gross in the midfield. Yeah, Adeyemi, Brandt, Gittins, and Guirassy. Yeah, I mean, I hope that's the case. In matchday 1, it was Ben Sabiani starting at left back, which pushed Schlotterbeck in central defence, and ultimately Anton did lose his place. But I don't know, it's just a tricky one because Anton started every single Bundesliga game, but then he's dropped in the Champions League, which is a big shame. So yeah, I'm going to have to keep an eye out for that. I appreciate the update. I'll probably reconsider my transfers, but I'm not too sure about this source and what their success rate is with predictions. Hola Dylan, ¿por qué no un defensor del Inter en lugar de Trent? Y para mí van a cambiar mucho el equipo en la defensa. Por ejemplo, Acerbi, Di Marco y Darmian no van a jugar hoy y está confirmado el equipo de Inzaghi. Eso me pone dudas para el futuro y el largo plazo, así que yo prefiero Trent Alexander-Arnold, aunque Liverpool tienen partido bastante difícil en contra Leverkusen y Real Madrid bastante pronto, pero para la jornada 2 me gusta mucho a Trent Alexander-Arnold y los otros defensores de Liverpool. Yeah, Undav is a decent punt for matchday 2. I've been asked about him before, but I just think there are the better options elsewhere. It all depends on your budget, what you're working with, but if you can afford something better like Gyökeres, Lewandowski, and the premiums I've talked about, I'd rather go in that direction. I think Elise is playing tomorrow. He's had a good start to his Bayern Munich career. Carlos Augusto or Dumfries? Difficult one. I think either one could be subbed off around 60 minutes, possibly beforehand, depending on game state. I'd lean towards Carlos Augusto, but it's a very tricky one. Thank you, Julio Pena, for the super chat. Are Haaland and Kane real doubts? Should I transfer them out? Also, what do I do? Sorry, your question has been... Yeah, let's do it again. Also, what do I do with Anton and Molina? Any recommended transfers for them? Okay, so Haaland has trained and he has travelled with the squad. Harry Kane missed yesterday's session, but he did train today, and it looks like he's going to start against Aston Villa tomorrow. So my verdict on both of them is that they will start. I could be wrong about this, and I do admit it, but I'm very confident that they will. So I personally would keep them. As for your other questions, Molina hasn't really started any games for Atletico this season. He has lost favour with Simeone. His form has dropped as well, even for country. So I would look to sell Molina if possible. As for Anton, just now someone mentioned a source. I think it's GFFN _ on Twitter. I think it's German Football News. And they say, well, their predicted lineup has Anton in it. But every other one I've seen doesn't have Anton in the lineup, including UEFA.com. So I'm a bit worried about Anton. I was looking at selling him myself, and I might still do so, but I'm still reconsidering it. But I would definitely sell Molina and keep Harry Kane as well as Erling Haaland. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Thank you very much for your support, Julio Pena, as always. And I'll have a look just in case I've missed any super chats, because YouTube has been a bit finicky in recent weeks. In terms of gifting memberships, I have done it already in a recent FPL stream. So I think by this time next month, so at the end of October, basically, I'll be gifting 10 more memberships. So always keep your eyes peeled by tuning in for the FPL and UCL Fantasy streams. Engage with the live chat, no spamming, and you'll have a great chance of winning a membership and gaining all those perks like early access to my podcast. Thank you, Keith, once again for moderating the chat. That is massively appreciated. Just seeing myself if there's anything else to moderate, because yeah, there's another super chat there by Rusber. I'm going to get to that very soon. Thank you very much, mate. Always appreciated. Just there's some issues with the chat I wanted to sort out, but it might be sorted now. Yeah, I think it's sorted. Keep on plugging away at the likes. We've got over 1,000 people watching, which is always great to see. But let's get the likes up to 500 plus, and also subscribe if you haven't already, and check all the links in the description below, like my Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM. I'm very easy to find on those social media platforms. The same goes for my Patreon, which is patreon.com/DylanRCM. So yeah, will Haaland start? I'm getting this question a lot. I personally think he will. That's why he's my captain. Otherwise, I wouldn't go there. So Rusbe says Bellingham or Musiala for Limitless. I'd go for Bellingham, but it's worth mentioning Musiala has 3 goals this season in the Bundesliga in 5 matches. Bellingham hasn't scored a single goal yet in all competitions. But I do prefer the fixture, Lille away compared to Aston Villa. It is obviously, worth admitting that Aston Villa aren't great defensively, but I prefer Bellingham over Musiala for Matchday 2. It's close, but I'd go in that direction. Also, just to give you also a bit of an update, if you haven't seen it already, let's go to the UCL Fantasy Limitless team, the updated version. This is what I'd go for if I activate the Limitless this week. There's a few 50-50 calls, Alisson or possibly Lunin, because Courtois is injured. You could go for Saka or Musiala instead of Foden, but ultimately I'd go for this sort of structure with the Limitless chip. So hopefully this helps you. I've made a few changes to the Limitless video from a couple of days ago. Apologies. Look, captain who you want, mate. They're both great options, but I'm personally favouring Erling Haaland. I do like Lewandowski's lower ownership, and he's been in great form this season. But if Erling Haaland starts, I think he's the slightly better option. Worth to spend 4 points changing Kane to Lewandowski this week? No, I wouldn't do that. We'll use Limitless next week most likely. I mean, Lewandowski could go ballistic against young boys and make up that hit, but Harry Kane is that sort of player you never want to sell, particularly for a hit. So my personal answer would be no. Dylan, do you think Vanderson from Monaco is a great option? Has a nice fixture on and not bad attacking. Not a great option, but as I mentioned earlier, I think Monaco have definitely some decent assets to keep an eye on. And I think most importantly of all, they offer a lot of value. So if you're backing Monaco to build upon that big victory against Barcelona in Matchday 1, I think Vanderson's definitely worth a shout, but I don't think he's a great option. Kim and Jai, Valverde out, Gavardio, Andrik in. Not bad. Not a huge fan of Andrik. I know he scored at the weekend against Bayern Munich, but yeah, I think there are better options elsewhere. How many do you want playing on the second? Have 4 at the moment. So if we go back to my team and my current plans, which could be Bino, Gittins and Trent, I think this looks a bit better because I would have Di Gregorio, Kim Min-jae, Trent, Kimmich, Bellingham, and Harry Kane. That looks a bit more balanced because beforehand, it was literally everyone on the 1st of October and then, 3 or 4 players on the 2nd. Not that big of a deal in Matchday 2, as mentioned earlier, but it is a problem in Matchday 3 when it reverses and those Wednesday players actually play on the Tuesday next time round, because it does reduce your ability to make substitutions and also just gain the most points possible. So, yeah, I think 8-7 is a nice balance. It's kind of the ideal one. 9-6 is also good, but I think 10-5 is also, it's not that bad. Now, look, ultimately, it's about getting the best assets, irrespective of what day they play. Unfortunately, most of the best teams and players play today on the Tuesday, the 1st of October. So that's where I've got a bit of an imbalance. But I have to say, I think 10-5 is still a nice sort of balance there. I think so, Rami. As mentioned in all my podcasts this week, there is a chance I use the Limitless, but it is unlikely. Thank you, Timothy, for the super chat. Kim Min-jae and Luis Diaz out for who? Not sure I'd sell Luis Diaz, mate. I know it was disappointing in FPL. I don't want to talk about FPL for a little while, if possible. But yeah, Kim Min-jae, fair enough. I'd look to sell him if possible, but not Luis Diaz. Unless you've got doubts about him starting, I'd keep him. Now, Wirtz and Yamal are better. There is no denying that. And if you don't have one of them, then maybe sell Diaz to Yamal or Wirtz. Even Rafinha for Matchday 2 looks amazing. But as for Kim Min-jae, I'd probably look towards Schlotterbeck, Emre Can, or Rico Lewis as a cheap replacement. Yeah, Kalinoglu's fine for Matchday 2. He's also on penalties, especially with no Lautaro Martinez in the lineup, but he's just not an amazing asset. You know, he can have one good return, then get you like 3 to 5 points, which is decent, but once again, I refer to those 7-point family choices like Wirtz, Rafinha, and Yamal. I think they're much better. Yeah, Kane should play. Should I play Limitless? I don't know your team. It's impossible for me to say if you should or not. If you've got a lot of issues with your squad, then it could be a decent time to use it. In my case, I've got 2 or 3 so-called weaknesses, in my opinion. Kim Min-jae, I had Anton, who might not start, and also Barcola, who's got a tough fixture. If the likes of Kane and Haaland were to miss out, that would be enough reason to play the Limitless, in my opinion, but both of them should be available and start today and tomorrow. So, yeah, if you only got 2 or 3 issues, use free transfers. Dylan, me quedo con Kim o ficho a Can. Si puedes, yo ficharía a Emre Can o Schlotterbeck. Vinicius or Lewandowski in for Mbappé. Lewandowski. It's not the best for Matchday 3, but I do like it a lot against young boys at home. Gracias por todo, Dylan. Bernardo Silva or Foden. Foden. Gyökeres or Lewandowski. Lewandowski. Wirtz or Bellingham. Wirtz. Wirtz, Elise or Rafinha. For Matchday 2, I think Rafinha is the best, but I also like to look long-term, and for me, I think Wirtz is a step above the others, so he's my answer. Keep Mbappé or buy Lewandowski for him. There are doubts about Mbappé starting. That's the big issue with him. He might be on the squad, but make a cameo off the bench, which isn't ideal for that price. So I'd probably take a punt and buy Lewandowski, but it is risky either way. Thank you for the super chat also to Afiondo. Salah and Gyökeres versus Wirtz and Lewandowski. That is extremely close. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest 50-50 calls this week, so it can go either way. But my personal preference for Matchday 2 only would be Wirtz and Lewandowski. Longer term, it's definitely closer, and you might even lean towards the first duo. So it ultimately depends on your chip strategy and what you're looking to do. But for Matchday 2, I'm going to keep it simple and go for Wirtz and Lewandowski. Foden or Yamal for Matchday 2? Yamal. My prediction is 90% correct. You guys will not regret. Okay. You can be the judge of that. Best Man City defender? Probably Gvardiol. I think Akanji and Lewis would be alternatives. It's between those 3. Probably Lewandowski for captain there, Mood. Let's also have an eye out for the super chats. Is there anything I missed? I don't think so, which is good. Yeah, they've all been covered, so yeah, that's all good. We've got just over an hour left until the deadline, so let's keep plugging away at your questions, but some of them have been answered already, so just bear in mind if I don't answer some of your questions, it's because they may have been answered already. Lineups are out, thank you. I'll probably have a look right now. So let's go to the Stuttgart and Sparta Prague lineups. So we've got Undav starting just behind Demirovic, So yeah, not many surprises there. Mittelstadt, of course, if you played Euro Fantasy, you would have remembered him. So yeah, the lineups are out there. Yeah, no one of note for me anyway. Undav might be my favourite. As for RB Salzburg, I do have Blazwich, unfortunately, but it's really for that goalkeeper rotation with Di Gregorio. He starts once again. Also, I don't want to pronounce his name, but the left winger, I'm sure a lot of you know how to pronounce it, but don't want to butcher it. He's starting as well. He's also had a lot of love in the live chats, but yeah, he starts. And also Pietkowski, a 4 million defender who could be decent in match days like this. Brest have been very poor so far this season. Del Castillo does start after being benched in match day 1. He's on penalties, is a talismanic figure. He's definitely my favourite from Brest, so also keep an eye out for him as well. So those lineups are out, but there's not much more to talk about, to be quite honest with you. The main assets really from these games are starting, and that's pretty much it. So let's go back to my squad for now. I'll start to lock in my transfers fairly soon, but I might make late transfers after thinking about other alternatives for my moves and squad. Very undecided whether to go Kane or Vinicius. Feel like picking Kane means Bellingham and picking Vinicius means choosing Musiala. A double up seems risky. Yeah, if I had to pick a double up this week though, it'd be Real Madrid. I think Lille away is a much better fixture than Aston Villa. But yeah, in isolation, I think Kane and Bellingham is probably the best duo long term. Defensa aparte de Alexander y Schlotterbeck. Gvardiol, Rico Lewis, Akanji, uno de ellos, Gabriel o Saliba. Ping Pong. Está todo cubierto en mi video como el Wildcard, Limitless y Team Selection, así que sí, en todos esos videos yo hablo de los mejores defensores y en cada posición. Best 4-point fouling defender for Wednesday. I'd have to have another look at that. That's not too easy. I think I just saw a super chat there, so that I'm going to have to go through that very soon, but let me see if I can find a 4-point fouling defender who plays tomorrow. That's not going to be an easy task, but I think we can do it. Yeah. Unfortunately, not a huge fan of most of these, but I'd probably look towards... I mean, the Bast obviously did very well match day 1, but not really backing a clean sheet in match day 2. I'd have to double think about that. I think most of the best 4-point fouling defenders play today, actually. On the Tuesday, that includes Kubarsi and Rico Lewis. They will likely start. Of course, Kubarsi is kind of nailed on. Lewis is always in and out of the team, so that could be problematic. But yeah, I'd have to think about that again. So let's see. Hopefully I haven't missed anything. Yeah, so thank you, Timothy. Kim Min-jae and Saliba out for Trent and Lewis, or keep Saliba. I think Saliba to Trent looks great for match day 2. But you'll probably find yourself wanting to reverse that transfer very soon. I think Arsenal have a better set of fixtures than Liverpool in the league phase. You know, Liverpool face Leverkusen and Real Madrid. It's very tough to envisage clean sheets there, but Trent can still get attacking returns. So if the rest of your squad looks great, I'd probably do it. But try to bring back Saliba or Gabriel in a future match day. And to be fair, Arsenal can keep a clean sheet against PSG. That would not surprise me at all. But my honest answer would be yes, I'd do it, as long as you're happy with the rest of your team and can easily go back to Saliba or an Arsenal defender. Also, thank you to Domenico. Hola Dylan, saludos. Dilemma con Gonçalves. Gittins, Adiemi, Zielinski, Foden, Milot, gracias. With Foden, need Kane to Lewandowski and captain him. Right. I'd rather go to Gittins and keep it simple. Bad fixture on match day 3, but Celtic at home looks really promising this match day. And he's also got good long-term fixtures. He might be benched here and there, but at 5 million, you can't complain whatsoever. And Gonçalves is out until after the international break. So my personal preference would be Gittins. Foden's not a bad one either, but I think it just seems a bit more complicated by what you said at the very end. So Gittins should do well enough there. Also, thank you to Ram. Will Foden, Haaland, Diaz, and Kim Min-jae start? I think yes to all of them. In all the lineups I showed you earlier on UEFA.com, every single one of them were in those lineups. I think Diaz is actually the one I'm least confident about, but I still think he will be in that lineup against Bologna, especially if Jota's out. We could see Cody Gakpo up front, Diaz on the left, and Salah on the right. Possibly Darwin, to be fair, up front as well. But yeah, I think Diaz will start, and the same goes for everybody else you mentioned. Saka or Musiala, Limitless. I'll stick with Saka. But in my updated version, which I showed you earlier, I did go for Foden as a very big punt. High risk, high reward. Undav, Vinicius or Gyökeres, I'm on Limitless. I'd probably go for Vinicius here. Yeah, I think Kane will start. Same with Haaland. And Mbappe is a bit difficult, to be fair. That one I'm least sure about. But yeah, Kane and Haaland should start. DeMarco isn't going to start today, mate. It's confirmed by the Inter Milan sources. If you go to Inter Milan Extra, I think it is, they put the lineups already. So yeah, it will be Carlos Augusto and Dumfries as the wingbacks. Saliba for Inacio or Diaz for Valverde. Out of those two, I would probably lean towards Diaz for Valverde. Hey Dylan, do you think it's best to sub Adeyemi for Gittins or save the one transfer for next match day? I'd probably save the transfer. I think having free available in match day 3 after an international break could be very useful. And I also don't see a massive difference between one or the other unless you're kind of not confident of Adeyemi starting. Can I do one transfer and save one to have free in Game Week 3? Yes, that is the case. The same goes for if you make no transfers whatsoever, but you can't have more than 3 transfers at any given time during the league phase. So the Fantasy Football lad asks about his team. 3 transfers, nothing in the bank, Limitless. So goalkeepers are fine. Not great, but you know they rotate well. They play on different days. The defensive line is also fairly solid. Yeah, Anton is a bit of a doubt there to start, so you could sell him. But yeah, apart from that, I think I'd stick with what you have. It's tempting to use the Limitless, I get that, but I think I'd probably use 2 free transfers, yeah. Is it better to use 4 points for a third transfer or use a Limitless? Depends what players we're talking about. If you're doing something like Mbappé to Lewandowski for a -4, I'd be on board with that and save the Limitless, but yeah, probably the -4 in this case. Yeah, Lautaro's not playing. So, like I mentioned earlier, the Inter lineup I've covered. So, no DiMarco, no Acerbi, no Darmian, Thuram and Lautaro also benched. Should I do Wirtz, Gittins, Chan for Sabitzer, Rodri, Anton for -4, or just do the first 2 transfers? Just do the first 2 transfers, I think. Yeah. I think, to be fair, with Sabitzer to Wirtz, I'd be more inclined to do that than Anton to Chan. Even if Chan doesn't start, I just think Wirtz has such a high ceiling, but that's the way I see it. I could be wrong. Bastoni or Grimaldo? I prefer Grimaldo long term, so that's my answer. I think Adeyemi starts. I have to go back to the lineup again, to be honest. We'll go through that one more time, since I'm getting a lot of answers or questions about this. So Inter Milan, you can see the lineup on screen apparently is locked in, and these are reliable sources we're talking about. So as you can see, everything I just said, some key players missing out for Inter Milan. And as for Borussia Dortmund, if we can just find them very quickly. Yeah, Adeyemi is in the lineup. And here, UEFA.com haven't gone for Anton. Now, what I'm showing you right now isn't locked in like the Inter Milan one I just showed you, but UEFA.com are quite reliable when it comes to these. They typically get 9 out of 11 right, possibly even more, depending on the team. Who's more unlikely to feature? Mbappe, if we're talking about that sort of thing. Yeah, Lewis is a good option at 4.5. There are rumours he will start, but long term you'll have some concerns about him. He's going to be in and out of that lineup continuously, really. Of course, you can use Limitless. If you feel you have to make multiple changes, then, you know, be my guest. But I'll just be very careful. If you only got 2 or 3 issues, I just don't think it's worth using a chip already. Will Carvajal play? So yeah, we're getting a lot of questions about lineup, so we might as well go to that. So Vasquez is in this predicted lineup. Carvajal isn't ruled out, but he might get a rest here on the bench. It's not certain, but he isn't the most nailed on for matchday 2. So keep plugging away at the likes. We have got over 200, which I appreciate, but let's get this to 500 plus, and also subscribe to the channel. Let's actually keep an eye out for our progress. And you know what? I think with these lineups, yeah, I'm going to leave that now. Maybe later I'll go through a few others again, but not on screen, since we have done that a lot already. So, yeah, we literally got less than an hour left. I'll be locking in my transfers fairly soon. Gittins and Trent is my current preference, but that could easily change before the deadline. And yeah, all the other stuff has been covered. Kane's been in training today. Erling Haaland travelled with the squad. Pretty much all covered there. A lot of you are using the normal transfers and no chips this week. Over 70% voted for that in the poll I put out on my YouTube channel. Also, be sure to do Predict 6 if you also play that. Don't forget to lock in your predictions there. And yeah, also, one final thing is join the UCL Fantasy League. The code is cCaFxb, and there is an auto-join link in the description below. And yeah, we've got 1,000 members already, but maybe you can be the winner by the end of the tournament. So be sure to join if possible. So let's go back to your questions again and also get this show on the road. Best 6-point family midfielder, Elise. Elise and Kimmich are my favourites long term, but they've got tough fixtures in the next two. Thank you to RD Nunez. Onana or Del Castillo? Probably Del Castillo. I'm not entirely sure about this one. Thank you, Dalla, for joining the UCL Fantasy League. Once again, Haaland and Kane, they both should start. It's not locked in. I might be wrong about it, but they both trained, and I'd be very surprised if they didn't play. Yeah, I think Bellingham starts. Brun or Gittins? Gittins. Would you buy Haaland? Yes, I still would. But if you are unsure about him starting, just go for Lewandowski. He's a great pun this week. Yeah, Gittins in for Valverde looks good. There's also doubts about the Uruguayan starting tomorrow. Who do I need more? Who do I need to move more? Carvajal or Sabitzer? They're both doubts for Matchday 2 in terms of starting. So it's kind of a tricky one. Depends on who you can go for as the replacement. But my preference would probably be selling Sabitzer. Can you make transfers and play Limitless in the same week? No. The transfers won't go through. Yeah, that's just been covered now, Jung. Let me know if you saw it. Pedro Gonçalves, he is ruled out. Best City defender, Limitless. Gavardio, as covered in my video and earlier today. Frimpong or Grimaldo? Grimaldo for me. Mbappé to Haaland or Kane to Haaland? I'd rather sell Mbappé, since there's more of a doubt of him starting than Harry Kane. Kun and Dumfries or Gravenberch and Rico Lewis? Gravenberch and Rico Lewis is probably my favourite. Lewandowski or Kane? Lewandowski in Matchday 2. Yeah, Undav is fine. I just prefer Gyökeres and all the premiums I discussed earlier. Grimaldo and Rodrigo or Vinicius and Lewis? Probably Vinicius and Lewis, but very close. Dumfries and Kobel or Schlotterbeck and Sommer on Limitless? Schlotterbeck and Sommer, as discussed in my Limitless team video. Should I go for a -4 to replace Carvajal? Not too sure about that. I probably wouldn't. Lewandowski or Yamal as captain? Lewandowski. Less likely to start, Kane or Haaland? I really don't see any of them not starting, to be honest. I think it's kind of even. If it was Mbappe, I'd say him. But between those two, I don't really have an opinion on that. Yeah, Guirassi's good versus Celtic. He'll likely start. He's been in good goal-scoring form, so I don't mind it. I'm not sure, mate, when I make my transfers, but I'm focusing on the questions right now. -4 to remove DeMarco. Not a big fan of making a -4 hit for that. I'd go for Elise because Valverde could be benched. Should I change anything? Should I use Limitless? So 0 transfers left. Your squad looks fairly good, to be fair. I'm not really. I think you could be fine with that. I don't think you need to use a chip. Piatkowski isn't great, same with Blazwich, but apart from that, I don't really see anything wrong with it. Best 3 forwards on the Limitless. Probably the same as before. Haaland, Lewandowski, and I'd probably favour Vinicius right now. If you want to put Taremi or Arnautovic, you can do that, but I'm not a big fan of them. I think Taremi has been performing well, just not getting that many goals yet. Lautaro and Thuram are benched, so I wouldn't go for them. Coop minus to Gittins, yep. Rafinha or Yamal? Yamal. I just think long-term he's the better option, but I like Rafinha, I do. Lewandowski and Bellingham or Vinicius and Rafinha? For Matchday 2, I'd go for Lewandowski and Bellingham. Trincao, Del Castillo, Elise o Savinho, escoge uno. Savinho, si empieza el partido es mi favorito para la jornada 2. A largo plazo, el mejor es Olise. Así que depende de tu estrategia. Would you firstly get rid of Pote or Dembele? I'd rather get rid of Dembele. He might come back in for matchday 3, but yeah, I'd get rid of him. He's very expensive for, a player that's not going to play. So, best 7-point family midfielder for tomorrow. DS. Captain shots for today. Haaland, Lewandowski, Yamal would be my favourites. Probably in that order. Why not take Kane out for a midfielder who plays tonight? Let's see. I think you're talking about... Well, no, Bellingham on my bench does play... Let me just get the dates up. Yeah, everyone on my bench does play tomorrow. Either way, with my proposed transfers, which I have shown you before, I am looking to sell Barcola, and that could be to Rafinha, but more likely I'd be going to Gittins, who also plays on the 1st. But honestly, I've already got too many Tuesday players. I know what you're saying. I think having 4 Tuesday players in the midfield looks good, but I've already got an imbalance between those 2 days, which could cause problems in matchday 3 if I don't Limitless. So it's not really a priority for me in my decision making. What about Mbappé to Kane? Yeah, I mean, Mbappé might not start. There is that doubt, in my opinion, so you could make that sort of move. But either way, whether you do it or not, it can backfire massively with this caliber of player. Haaland should be fine. Asensio playing, he's probably not going to start. I think he'll make a cameo off the bench, but I don't think he'll start. Yeah, Valverde to Gittins looks good. Haaland and Kane should play Petros, as covered earlier. Who are you captain? Probably Haaland. Yamal's my backup. Will Barcola be worth it this game week? Possibly. I don't really mind him that much, but Arsenal away is a tough game. Luis, Jimenez, or Acerbi? My favourite is Luis. Acerbi won't play, as covered earlier. Be sure to rewind and you can see all this piece of information. I probably won't play the Limitless. I think I'll use 2 free transfers. Any news about Foden? He looked sharp versus Newcastle. I don't think it was particularly great against Newcastle, but I think it will come good. It was actually covered in my Trans Tips podcast earlier for FPL, so check that out when it is released for everybody. But yeah, Foden is in my updated Limitless team, which I also showcased earlier in the stream. Raya está bien a largo plazo. No para la jornada 2 en contra Paris Saint-Germain, pero me gusta mucho para el futuro, hasta que de la jornada 3 a 8. Mbappé to Lewandowski, yes, I'd say go for it. Courtois is out, so he won't play. Foden or Doku? Foden. Any optional picks from Monaco? Dynamo may concede 9 again. Nah, I don't think Monaco will score that many, to be honest. I think they'll probably score 2 or 3. Yeah, I mean, a few of the options have been mentioned already in this stream, and I don't mind them in terms of value, but I just think the red card changed the game a lot, and we could see them brought down to reality in the next couple of match days. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just not a big fan. Gonçalves and Anton to Bastoni and Gittins looks good to me. Yeah, the chat is going crazy, yeah. Trent over Saliba? Yes, for matchday 2. Longer term, though, Liverpool have some tough games. Gonçalves and Anton are covered. Thank you for the super chat. Joachim Olsen. Sell Bellingham or Valverde? I'd rather sell Valverde. He is cheaper, but there are rumours he will be benched. With Bellingham, there are no such concerns. He will definitely play. And what replacements do you recommend? Need to lock up 0.5 million for Gonçalves to Wirtz. In that case, I'd go to Joshua Kimmich or Gittins, mate. So sell Valverde to one of those options. If you want someone for matchday 2 only, Gittins is your man. Longer term, I think Kimmich is a jack of all trades and a great UCL Fantasy option. Yeah, Griggle, that's also been covered, mate. I'll probably just show you on screen again because, yeah, I'm trying to save my voice, to be honest. Here you go, Lewandowski, Haaland and Vinicius is what I've gone for. This is the updated Limitless team, so let me know what you think in the live chat. I'll probably show it for the last time because it has been covered extensively. Why Gittins not Adeyemi? I think Gittins is a better player. He's got a lot of potential. Adeyemi's been in good form, by the way, but I have more confidence in Gittins in front of goal, and I just think he's got that decision-making, which Adeyemi doesn't. But they're both good options. I also like Gittins' price. I think that's the main thing. Hola Dylan, si solo utilizo una transferencia, ahora la siguiente jornada tendré 3. Tienes razón. No puedes tener más que 3 en la fase de grupos, pero sí, puedes tener 3 transferencias, así que está todo bien. So yeah, Goldhead, all the predicted lineups have been covered earlier, but essentially Savio, Foden are expected to start, Kovacic, maybe Mateus Nunes or Lewis playing in that position. Lewandowski for Kane this week only. I'm on board with it. It's always risky selling Kane, but if you can do it for free, I can think of worse transfers. Mad Men at Work says, defense to transfer in for £6, 6 million, and Barcola to Gittins. Well, I'm looking at Trent at the moment, but I do recognise that long-term Liverpool's fixtures aren't great. You've also got Inter Milan defenders with good fixtures, and obviously Red Star Belgrade is no exception. I like the Arsenal defenders long-term. You've got a lot of choices here, but it all depends on who you have already. I like Koundé a lot, but I wouldn't buy him if you've got Kubarsi in your team. So I think on the face of it, I'd go for Trent Alexander-Arnold or probably a City defender like Gvardiol. Savio or Trossard? Savio. Emre Can will start. I don't think Anton does. Give me 3 names for 7 million midfielder apart from buying players. Gittins, Kun at 4.5, and I mean Valverde long term looks good, but I wouldn't buy him now. So that's a bit awkward. Del Castillo, I do like the look of this match day actually. I think he could score against RB Salzburg, but yeah, there's probably a lot of options I'm kind of, looking over. Gonzalez would be my favourite, but unfortunately he is out. Thank you, Kenneth. I do come from a Spanish-speaking country, but yeah, my Spanish is limited compared to my English. Will Kim In-jae start? Yeah, he should. Best 2 goalies. I've just gone for Blazwich and Di Gregorio because they have no clashes until matchday 8. That's pretty much the main reason why you should go for that. Because in isolation, I think Raya and Coble are better, but they also clash with most other goalkeepers. Trent o Gvardiol. Creo que City tendrá juegos más fáciles en el futuro y hoy. Sí, está bien lo que decís. El problema con City es que hace muchos cambios en la defensa, así que Gvardiol puede estar en el banco en la jornada 3 o 4 y con Trent va a jugar casi todos los partidos. Yo creo que a largo plazo es mejor Gvardiol, pero en este momento yo estoy yendo por Trent Alexander-Arnold. Savio o Foden? Foden. Foden or Salah long term? Salah. Kane and Musiala or Salah and Lewandowski? Salah and Lewandowski. Kanate or Gabriel? Kanate for matchday 2, and then you can swap to Gabriel or Saliba in the long term. That could be a matchday 3 or 4, by the way. Haaland plays today? Yeah, I think so. Getting Salah, Barcola, Taremi to Kane, maybe. So what? Taremi in for Kane? I mean, that could be a nice shout, but I'm not too sure. It's always risky selling Kane, as I've said a few times here today. Interested in Grav? I'm guessing that's Gravenberch. If I was looking at a budget midfielder, possibly. I mean, Gittins. If I do sell Barcola, it would likely be for a Gittins, but I just think he's got a far higher ceiling than Gravenberch, so I'd rather go in that direction. I'd go for Gittins over Elise this week. Acabo de shower, ¿no va a jugar Haaland? No sé, alguna gente en el chat que dice que no va a jugar Haaland, pero voy a ver ahora. Porque siempre hay gente que, no sé, dicen barbaridades. Así que voy a fijar ahora. So let's see if we get any updates about Haaland. So yeah, if you have seen anything about Erling Haaland or any of these key players missing out or featuring, if anything has been confirmed, be sure to leave it in the live chat with a link. No, my team isn't locked in. I haven't made my transfers yet. Yeah, I think Diaz starts. It's not 100%. There is a chance he doesn't, but I think he will. Yeah, Milot from Stuttgart is decent, and also you could look at Undav, but I just prefer others. It's as simple as that. Quizás el Limitless, pero yo estoy bien con usar 2 transferencias. Kane and Dembele to Haaland and Bellingham, is it reasonable? Yes, it's reasonable, but it's always risky selling Kane. I just mentioned Undav, Sean. Sell Kane and Musiala and buy Lewandowski and Salah. What do you think? Once again, it's always risky selling Kane, but I do like Lewandowski and Salah a lot. As long as you can go back to Kane in matchday 3 and beyond, because I think he's better than Lewandowski long term, I'd probably do it. Best time to play Limitless, covered earlier, just rewind the stream, but between matchdays 2 to 7, and it all depends on your team and situation. Will Haaland and Mbappé play? I think Haaland does. Mbappé could be on the bench. So yeah, I'm having a look now on Twitter, and I don't see anything about Haaland, so there could be some trolls actually in the live chat, so be wary of that. Kimmich or Elise? Very close. I think Elise has a high ceiling, so I'd probably go towards him. Best to buy or to replace Dembele? Very difficult once again. And by the way, we've got 40 minutes left, so I will be locking in my team fairly soon. So, yeah, to replace Dembele, I'd probably say Yamal, Rafinha, or Florian Wirtz, depending on who you have already. Best replacement for Carvajal? That could be one of Gvardiol, Akanji, Kanate, Schlotterbeck. I think they're all great choices, even Emre Can. Best 7 million or less midfielder? Between Elise, Kimmich, and Gittins. Yeah, the Limitless is covered on screen, or it was anyway. Yeah, it's still on screen. That's the updated Limitless team. So, yeah, knock yourself out. There's also the original Limitless podcast where there's a few changes there. But bear in mind that Courtois is injured, so don't go for him now. So let's go back to... Well, actually, in fact, I'm going to go to my transfer plans and try to lock in these moves fairly soon. I would recommend no copying, but that'll probably fall on deaf ears for some people, so probably not even worth mentioning. Smash the like button and subscribe for new if you haven't already. Let's get this to 500 likes and keep on pushing towards 30k. Yep, the Limitless is like the free hit, but you have no budget restrictions. It was covered earlier, mate, so just rewind and you'll see all the details on the chips. I would go for Wirtz there over Bellingham and Adeyemi. Any fun midfielder punts? Rafinha would definitely be up there. No leaks for Man City 11, in my opinion. I mean, I haven't seen anything. If you do, then leave a link in the live chat and we can go through it. But as far as I'm aware, nothing yet. Sebastian says, hey Dylan, I have Kane, Haaland, Mbappé, Gonçalves, Anton, Limitless, wildcard, -4 or 2 transfers. 2 transfers, mate, because Gonçalves is out. Get rid of him. And Anton is a major concern to start. Mbappé might also be on the bench, but ultimately Kane and Haaland should be fine. And if that's the case, I just use 2 free transfers. Even if you're down 1 player or have someone coming off the bench, so be it. It's not worth playing a Limitless for 2 or 3 issues. No, Kane está bien, Nestor. Está bien. Will Carvajal play? In the lineup I showed you earlier, it was Lucas Vazquez at right back. There is a chance that Carlo Ancelotti gives Carvajal a rest. Nana to Rafinha for a hit? Not sure about doing it for a hit, mate. I think Rafinha is a great option this week, but the fact he plays Bayern in Matchday 3 does put me off a little bit. Do you think Schlotterbeck is more worth than Carlos Augusto in the Limitless tactic? Possibly. He's better for ball recoveries. Carlos Augusto could be subbed off early. And yeah, I mean, Red Star Belgrade is a great fixture, but Inter Milan are rotating a lot, which is quite surprising. I personally would recommend other midfielders instead. You can go for Monaco players if you wish. Their fixtures are quite decent, but look, after a win against Barcelona, of course, people will get carried away. I understand that, but I just think people need to temper their expectations a little bit. My personal favourite... difficult one. I mean, we've only got a small sample size. I haven't seen much of Ligue 1 this season, but yeah, Van der Sar is decent as a defender. I mean, they've got so many budget options. That's the best thing about them, right? But it really depends on who you're looking to buy, in which position. But I think Van der Sar amongst defenders is decent. I think their 5 million forward is also fairly... I mean, you can't get much better than that in terms of value. Kim Min-jae and Kun, Tariqa Lewis and Gittin, says Hugo. Yeah, looks good. I mean, Kun is still decent, by the way. He still is. Massim with the Super Jets puts his team. Gyökeres, Mbappe, Haaland, Musiala, Yamal, Gravenberch, Wirtz, Diaz, Kubarsi, Beraldo, Saliba, Guerrero, Trent, Blazwich, Di Gregorio. Ideas, Mbappe for Lewandowski or Kane. I'd go to Lewandowski for one matchday punt and then sell to Kane in the future. That could be a matchday free, but if you're buying one this week, it's Lewandowski for me. Gravenberch for Gittins. I prefer Gittins personally. So yeah, I'd recommend Gittins for Gravenberch if you can. I wouldn't do it for a hit though. So let me know what chip strategy you're on, how many transfers you're using. But I'm guessing by the looks of it, you're only going to use 2 moves, and that looks very good for you. Yeah, Lenormand is out for the unforeseeable future with a brain injury. That's horrible news. Hopefully a speedy recovery for him. Yeah, I read out earlier that he had a head injury, but I wasn't aware it was that bad. So that is terrible news. Hopefully he returns very soon. He had a great Euros, of course, and Yeah, that is a very big shame. Foden's fine. I'm just not looking to buy him, mate. Vender a Musiala para meter a Salah? Sí, me gusta mucho. Best striker under 10 million, but not Lewandowski? Gyökeres. Do you think Aston Villa will win at Villa Park? No. They can do. They're a good team, but I think Bayern Munich will get a result. That could be a draw or a win. Now, if Harry Kane is benched or doesn't play, then yeah, maybe the pendulum swings in Aston Villa's favour, but I think Bayern Munich are in great form. No, I probably won't play the Limitless. I just showed you a Limitless team for those that wanted to use it. Lautaro will probably be benched, yet. The same goes for Thuram, DeMarco, Acerbi, and who else was the other one? Darmian. A lot of these in that defence. Do you think Kim and Jai and Carvajal to Trent and Lewis is a good move? Yeah. Wirtz or Musiala and Martinez or Vinicius? Wirtz and Vinicius. Once again, I have to stress, Martinez will be benched according to all the reports. I mean, Rodri's missing the entire season, right? So, yeah, I probably would take a hit for Gittins. Yeah, Gittins will probably start. It's not 100%, but I think he will. Thank you, OMG. That's incredible. I think that's the 10th super chat, so thank you very much. Could you give us insight into Kane, Mbappé, and Haaland? Will they play? So all of them have trained and they've travelled. So Mbappé is the least likely to start, but if he feels fine, he'll be put in the lineup. So that's the least. I'm the least sure about that one. But Kane and Haaland should start the games today and tomorrow. So I'm very confident about them. They've all travelled, like I said, so I'd be very confident. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Boniface is a striker, though, and Valverde is a midfielder. So ultimately, yeah, just have those that play on the Wednesday on your bench, and then you can bring them on for your lowest scoring players from the Tuesday that have played already. Julian, I was literally answering that question now, so that should answer it. There's no need to go for it again. Hola, Dylan. Opiniones sobre Guirassy. Está jugando bien, anotando bastante goles, así que me gusta mucho. Pero yo tengo Gyökeres, Kane y Haaland, y también está Lewandowski, que está muy bueno para la jornada 2, así que no estoy pensando en él ahora, pero me gusta para la jornada 2. Who is your captain? I mean, you can see on screen, right? Haaland's got the armband right now. I'll probably stick with him unless we get a late confirmation of Haaland missing out. But like I said, if you see anything on Twitter, be sure to let me know so we can go through the source together. There are a lot of people who do seek clout. It could be in the live chat or also on Twitter, so be very careful. But yeah, I'm not too sure if we'll get any lineups before the deadline. I hope we do, just to ease any concerns. I think Lewis will start. Some reports indicate that he will. Not 100% guaranteed. Thank you, Julian. Saludos desde Colombia. Thoughts about Del Castillo? He's starting and he's on penalties. Yeah. Amongst budget midfielders, he's good. I recommended him a lot before Matchday 1. I was quite surprised to see him benched, but he is starting today, and he is my favourite Brest option. No pun intended. Once again, I probably won't use the Limitless. Gyökeres or Kane. Gyökeres was subbed off with an injury in the game versus Istor Braga. I still think he'll play, though. I haven't seen anything that suggests he's going to be out or that there's concerns about this week. If I'm wrong, then be sure to let me know. But some Sporting fans have messaged me and they were talking about Pedro Gonçalves being out and not Gyökeres. Hola Dylan, ¿por qué Kim no te gusta hoy? No me gusta Kim and Jai porque juega con Aston Villa y Barcelona en los próximos 2 partidos, pero mira, puede recuperar el balón, juega todos los partidos para Bayern Múnich con Vincent Kompany, pero en este momento estoy pensando vender a Anton, que puede ser que no va a jugar, en contra Celtic, y puedo reemplazarlo con Trent, Gvardiol, Akanji o un defensor así como Bastoni. Pero para hacerlo tengo que comprar a alguien como Gittins para Barcola. Paulson Trincao, I've been asked about it before. My favourite Sporting options are Gyökeres and Gonçalves, who is out, but he could be fine. Saka or Musiala? Saka. Martinez will be on the bench. Buy Lewandowski, Kane or Vinicius? Lewandowski. Acerbi will play today. He's not in the lineup that I saw. Lewandowski or Haaland captain? Up to you. I'm personally going for Haaland, but I really like Lewandowski. Yamal, Gittins versus Lewandowski as captain. Lewandowski. Savio, Lookman or Elise for Barcola. Savio. 4 million defender to replace Beraldo. Maybe Piatkowski. He's in the lineup today for RB Salzburg. Sell Hakimi or keep one transfer. I'd probably sell him. the fixtures for PSG are really tough, even beyond Arsenal. Should I sit Gvardiol for Gittins? Are you talking about benching? If so, don't do that. What you want to do is have everyone in your starting 11 playing on the Tuesday. So any Tuesday players can't be on your bench. Don't do that. What you want to do is have those on the Wednesday, the 2nd of October, on your bench, ready to come on for your lowest scoring players. It's all covered in my How to Play guide and the chip strategy. Thank you, Francisco, for becoming a differential. Massively appreciated. I think Foden will start. I cannot guarantee it. It's a risk either way. Double by Leverkusen defense or triple into defense, Limitless. Probably double Leverkusen defense because Grimaldo and Frimpong have so much attacking potential, but Milan are in good form now. ¿Para qué jornada te gusta el sin límites? Entre la jornada 2 y 7. Depende del contexto de tu equipo. Para mi estructura, estoy pensando en la jornada 3 o 4. Luis says, ¿vender a Musiala para meter a Salah? Sí. Es simple. Van Dijk should start, Lucky. Punt on Garassi, Unda for Gyökeres. If I had to pick one, it'd be Garassi, and I'm fairly sure I butchered the name. But I'd keep Gyökeres unless he's ruled out in the next 10-20 minutes. I probably would sell Mbappé, but it's risky. There is a chance he starts, as mentioned several times today. If I do sell him, or if you were to sell him, I'd recommend Lewandowski. Savio or Wirtz. Florian Wirtz is my favourite. Yep, I expect Kane to start. The same goes for Erling Haaland. Elise or Musiala? Elise, because of value. Lewandowski in for Rodrigo or Gyökeres? Probably Rodrigo, but he's got a good fixture this week. Once again, it's up to you. They're both great options. It's a coin toss. I'm currently favouring Haaland, but there is an injury risk, or there is a slight doubt about him starting, which is still flying around. Bruno Silva says out Gonçalves and Kane, in Gittins and Lewandowski, or out Gonçalves and Gyökeres, in Lewandowski and Kun. I'd go for the first option, albeit it's very risky selling a player of Kane's quality. I'd go for Wirtz over Trincao. Even if it doesn't work out today, it's a great move for the long term. Rudiger or Bastoni? Bastoni. Yeah, Gonzalez, 5 million. I mentioned him once or twice today. He's decent. Same with Yildiz from Juventus. They're fine. At that price, you can't go wrong. Who's more likely to score, Kane or Mbappe? Depends on the minutes. If they both start, I think Mbappe. Better fixture. Thoughts on Chan and Lunin? I wouldn't go for Lunin because by match day 3 or 4, Courtois should be back. But for match day 2 on a Limitless, he's fine. Emre Can is good. 5 million on penalties, ball recoveries. I mean, there's a lot to like there. So, yeah, that's good. Musiala or Wirtz? Florian Wirtz. Best Hakimi replacement, I have Carvajal, Trent, Schlotterbeck and Kubarsi. Bear in mind, there are some concerns about Carvajal starting. It could be Lucas Vazquez. In your situation, you might want to go for one of Gvardiol, Akanji, Lewis or Bastoni as your Hakimi replacement. Lewis and Rafinha or Saliba and Elise, says Neo. Close one. I think long-term, the best is Saliba and Elise, so I'll stick with that. It depends on your chip strategy, though. I want to downgrade Bellingham and Vlahovic to get Haaland and Lookman. That's fine, to be fair. But if you do have 2 primers already up front, I'd reconsider it. Once again, mate, I said yes. Is Lewis starting? I think so. It's not locked in. There is a chance he doesn't. There's always that risk with Man City defenders, but I personally think he will. Is DeMarco an option? He's not going to start today, based on the reports. Good evening to you as well, Twisted Parky. Top 2 5-point family and defenders. Are we talking about match day 2 or long term? If it's long term, I'd probably say an Arsenal defender like Gabriel or Saliba, alongside Gvardiol or Akanji. But for match day 2, it would be a different answer. I think Bastoni would definitely be better than the Arsenal defenders, on paper anyway. Vinicius or Kane? For match day 2, Vinicius. Longer term, Harry Kane. I think Haaland will play, mate. Lewandowski and Gittins or Gyökeres and Rafinha? I would go for Lewandowski and Gittins, but they're both really good duos. I mean, arguably, it's literally a coin toss. Yeah, Diaz is fine. There's a chance he doesn't start. I mean, there's always going to be rotation in the Champions League now with the extended format, but yeah, I think Diaz starts and he's good. I'm using transfers, Twisted Parky. Top 3 captains tonight, Haaland, Lewandowski, Yamal. Probably in that order. What do you think of going for one of Inter's backup strikers? Not bad for one matchday punt, but longer term, you've got Gyökeres, you've got Girassi, you've got Kane, Haaland, Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo. So yeah, it's really a one matchday punt. I think Gvardiol will start. There is a chance, there's always is with Pep Guardiola and defenders, but yeah, I think Gvardiol will play. Yeah, Kim Min-jae should start. That's the only reason why I'm looking to keep him, but I don't like him that much. Okay, yeah, some questions have just been absolutely, yeah, you know what, so I'm just going to deal with that now. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. We have answered hundreds of questions. My voice is literally going already, unfortunately, but yeah. We've got 1,300 people watching, which is great. Also, massive shout out to the super chatters, patrons, and members. But let's get the likes up to 500. We can definitely double what we're on right now. And let's also deal with the spammers. Thank you, Keith. Massively appreciate as always for dealing with it. You're always there in the shadows like Batman. That's the biggest compliment I can give you. So thank you for moderating all of that. You've literally done it for me. So massive shout out to you. Szoboszlai or Diaz? Diaz. I mean, this is the point. This is what I'm saying. Srifstan, I literally highlighted your message. I answered it. So I did answer your question. And I said, Nico Gonzalez is good. You can't go wrong at 5 million. I don't know what else I can say about that, mate. Captain Lewandowski or Haaland? Once again, I'm going for Haaland personally. Lewandowski's second in my rankings for Tuesday. And Yamal would be third. Should I take Kun or Levling or Gittins long term? Is that Lewandowski? I'm concerned with Gittins' minutes. Yeah, that's fair enough to be concerned about that. He didn't start in matchday 1 after all. But I do prefer Gittins long term. The fixtures for Dortmund are sensational. Bar matchday 3, of course. Okay, so any Lewandowski, Haaland questions? Unfortunately, I'm not going to go for them again because I think I've covered it 10 plus times. So for the sake of repetition and also answering different questions, I will be not answering again. Simply put, my top 3 captains for Tuesday would be Haaland, Lewandowski, and Rafinha. Yeah, I think Gittins will start. Kuto is also expected to be in the lineup. Best Salzburg mid. Probably Gluck, isn't it? Gluck. Probably butchered the name, but yeah, you know how I'm talking about. Gloukh. Savio or Elise? Elise long term. I do like Savio for matchday 2 if he starts. You can always take a punt on him and then sell to Elise. But it all depends on your strategy. Do you want this player long term or just for matchday 2? That also plays a big part. Kun replacement. Gittins. Maeda, but that'd be too sideways. I wouldn't go there. So probably Gittins actually. Gravenberch is also decent. Best midfield for Limitless, covered earlier. Be sure to rewind. I showed the updated Limitless team. Off the top of my head, I'm fairly sure it'd be something like Yamal, Foden, Bellingham, Salah, and Florian Wirtz. Who are the defenders most likely to keep clean sheets at this match day? Probably Man City, Inter Milan, and Liverpool. And maybe Real Madrid are 4th or 5th in that list. Yeah, once again, Millet from Stuttgart is fine. I just prefer others. Thank you, Goldhead, for moderating the chat. Yeah, it's kind of a bit unbearable today. What else we have? Best 4 million defender. Probably Piatkowski at the moment, but he's not great. There's probably a few that I'm forgetting, to be fair. I'll have another look now and see if I've missed anybody. So yeah, that's all covered. Okay, so let's go to the 4 million defenders. So yeah, we've only got 21 minutes left. I'm going to lock in my team soon, otherwise I'll forget. So yeah, in terms of 4 million defenders, I mean, Pranak did very well matchday 1. A great recovery story, by the way, if you haven't heard about it. But here I'd consider maybe Salisu, for example, you know, from Monaco. That would be a 4 million defender that I'd look at. Good fixtures against Dinamo Zagreb, Red Star Belgrade, Bologna, and Benfica. Then you've got some tough games like Arsenal and Villa, and even Inter Milan, of course. But for what, match days 2 to 5, you've got a really good set of fixtures there. So yeah, that'd probably be my 2 cents on it. Probably Salisu from Monaco. So let's get to 500 likes. We're getting very close now, so thank you very much. Best 4 million keeper. Is there such a thing? There probably is, and I'm forgetting. I know Franco Israel started in matchday 1, but I don't think he's expected to start again. let me just get this lineup now. Oh, he's actually expected to start again. So it looks like the main goalkeeper is still a doubt. So yeah, Franco Israel would be my favorite 4 million goalkeeper. Although PSV away isn't the easiest of games. What four would you start out of Pavard, Saliba, Schlotterbeck, Frimpong, or Kubarsi? Oh, they all play today, don't they? Yeah, that's the problem. If you've got free transfers available, I transfer one out, and that gives you a 15th player available. Which one would I transfer out? Maybe Saliba for one match day and then bring him back in the future, which could be for Schlotterbeck in match day 3 if you want to. Fairly sure. I think Gittins will be a rotation risk in the future, but he's expected to start in match day 2. Great form. He's got a lot of potential, so I'm quite bullish on it for match day 2 only. No, Acerbi, DeMarco, Damian, Lautaro Martinez, and Thuram will likely be benched. It looks like the lineup is locked in. So, look, if you still want to take a punt or risk there, you still think they're going to start, go for it, but it looks very unlikely. Yeah, exactly, Igor. Franco Israel is probably the best 4 million goalkeeper. Kane and Gittins or Guirassy and Salah, says Alex de Souza. Close, but I would go for Kane and Gittins. Buy Gavadio or Grimaldo in place of Lenormand. I'm planning to Limitless in match day 3. Okay, I appreciate the context. I'd probably go for Grimaldo. Should I captain Haaland or Lewandowski? Haaland for me. With Anton, I'm very unsure, mate. And that's why I'm looking to sell him. My favourite of those 3 is probably Savinho, assuming he starts. Rank them. Very difficult. Probably Adeyemi first, Lookman second, Trincao third, and Gluck fourth. Other 7 million midfielders and below, Elise and Kimmich are my favourites long term. And Gittins. Savio or Diaz? Diaz. Lewandowski as captain for me. How do you know those Inter players will be benched? There was a lineup earlier by some reliable sources, and Inter Extra, who relay all the information for Inter Milan, has said it's been confirmed by another reliable source. So, look, take it, at face value if you want, or, take it with a pinch of salt if you wish, but I actually trust these sources, and that's why I've been saying a lot in this stream. I don't think those players will start, and Lautaro, for example, being benched doesn't surprise me. It's happened quite a lot recently. Yeah, Konaté's good. Ball recoveries, goal threat. He's decent. Liverpool forward for match day 2. I mean, Salah's my favourite attacker. I mean, I've highlighted him so many times in this match day. Jota's a doubt for this game, but he might still start. You have a lot of rotation happening there with Gakpo and Darwin, so it's always risky with your, second attacker or forward, so to speak, but you can't go wrong with Salah. I think Kane will play, mate. I don't know how many more times we can go for this. Del Castillo or Lookman? Del Castillo. I'd probably go for Lookman, but he is a bit more expensive, isn't he? If I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that. Let's actually have a look. No, yeah, Lookman is a bit more expensive. I'd still go for Lookman if possible. Yeah, I think Foden will start. There are rumours or lineups with Bryan Gil not in it, so he's good for 4.5, but you might want to go for Kun instead from Celtic. Do you prefer Hakimi to Trent? Yeah, okay, that was been dealt with. It has been spammed, so yeah, probably not worth answering. Will Haaland play? I believe so. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend him as captain. Gittins you go for? It's possible. Like I said for most of the stream, that is my current plan, but that could easily change. No, Gittins isn't benched, as far as I'm aware. Is Lamine not the better option over Rafinha? I believe so. Ederson should start. Rudiger should also start. 4.5 defender for tomorrow. I think I was asked this earlier, and yeah. You're probably looking at... I'm going to have to look again. The Inter players supposedly benched are Acerbi, Damian, DeMarco, Lautaro Martinez, and Thuram. Best defender for Real Madrid, probably Rudiger. Hola Dylan, espero estés bien. ¿Me explicas el motivo de tus cambios? Y otra pregunta, ¿Messi o Ronaldo? Messi, no hay dudas. Con la primera pregunta, el motivo es porque Anton para mí no va a jugar. Y por eso reemplazarlo con alguien como Trent, para mí es mejorar el equipo un montón. y comprar a Gittins por Barcola tiene sentido porque Barcola juega con Arsenal, que tiene una defensa muy, muy sólida. Pero entiendo que Barcola es una buena opción y puede hacer un gol en contra Arsenal y también con los partidos después, pero no me gusta el fase de grupo que tiene Paris Saint-Germain. Tiene unos partidos muy bárbaros y difíciles, así que por eso estoy pensando en vender a Barcola también. Frimpong is decent. I'd rather go for Grimaldo, personally. You can change the captain until the kickoffs of tomorrow's games. So basically, until the early kickoffs at 5:45 p.m. UK time on Wednesday, you can change the captain, and you can start to change it after today's matches have finished and the game is updated. Limitless team, the video's there, mate. It's very easy to see. And also, if you rewind the stream, I showed the Limitless team, the updated version, a few times. Callum Jr. says, when using the Limitless, should you have more triple-ups in your team? Not necessarily. I have gone for a few triple-ups, though. I think Real Madrid was one of them. Liverpool's another one you could go for. I mean, Inter Milan with their fixtures, definitely nice, but I'd probably go for one or two. But yeah, I think a few double or triple-ups are fine, but you don't need to go all in on certain teams. I think that's very risky. Valverde or Barcola to Gittins, I'd rather sell Valverde. There is a chance that Valverde is benched. Yeah, I'd sell White. He's a doubt for this game, and Calafiori and Timber could start again. No worries, Haribo. Good to see you as always. Just looked at my team and saw that Haaland is flagged. I'm sure you already spoke about this. So Haaland trained. He also travelled with the squad. Same with Harry Kane. They both should start this match day. I'm a bit more concerned about Mbappé, who also travelled, but there are some conflicting reports about him starting or not. But with Erling Haaland and Harry Kane, I'm very confident they will start. Otherwise, I'd be looking to sell or play the Limitless chip. Yeah, from those options, I'd sell Molina, and I'd look to buy Emre Can. I do like him. There's also Rico Lewis. I would have said a Serbi, but it looks like he's benched today. Yeah, once again, I've covered that Haaland one just now, so that should be covered. Gavardio or Lewis, if money's no issue, Gavardio. Will teams keep less clean sheets this season, similar to FPL? I'm not too sure about that, because with this league phase, you could see certain games where teams are happy for a draw. PSG might even feel that way against Arsenal today, and they employ a more defensive approach. I'm not saying that will happen. I don't think it will, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. So I actually don't think so. I think there'll still be plenty of clean sheets. Gavardio or Can? Close. I'd probably go for Gavardio. I wouldn't go for Thuram. Once again, he's benched, so don't go for him. I'd go for Guirassy. Lewandowski, Wirtz, Yamal or Gyökeres as captain? Lewandowski for me. Change a Serbi for Trent and -4 points? Yeah. Assuming that the news is correct and a Serbi's benched, I would take a -4 hit. Marius says Barcola, Huth, Carvajal to Wirtz, Lewandowski, Gittins -4. I'm fine with it, to be honest. I think it's worth the -4 hit. Now, there is a chance Carvajal does start, so you'd be a bit annoyed if that was the case, so bear that in mind. But I think the other transfers, I think, are massive upgrades regardless, so it looks good. Best defenders is covered in my wildcard and Limitless videos, but essentially Liverpool defenders like Trent, Inter Milan ones like Bastoni, City options like Akanji, Gavardio and Lewis would be amongst the very best. I'd also put Koundé up there. I wouldn't go for Undav on the Limitless, but it's up to you, mate. If you want to go there, I don't think it's a bad option. Rudiger nailed on? Yeah, I think so. I'd go for Frimpong, more attacking potential. Trossard is a rotation risk long term, especially when you've got the midfielders coming back, because it pushes Havertz up front, and you'll see Martinelli and Saka on the wings at times. So, yeah, Trossard is a big game player. He's been really good for Arsenal, but not too sure about him in the long term. Yeah, I remember when I went to the Brighton game, Undav scored actually in that 6-0 win against Wolves, and the Brighton fans were singing the Undav song. It was good. Yamal or Haaland captain? Haaland. Why? Because I think he'll start. The opponent, Bratislav, considered 5 to Celtic. I know also with young boys, they were poor against Aston Villa, but they're both poor teams. But I also think City are better than Barcelona, and Erling Haaland's been sensational this season, but it's really close. I think Diaz starts. I can't guarantee it. Koundé starts. Yeah, he should do. All right, so that's probably enough for questions because I've answered hundreds. I might get back to it very soon, but it's time to lock in my team. Otherwise, I will have regrets about not doing it. So at the moment, I'm looking to sell Barcola and Anton, but I'll probably put a poll out and see what you lot are saying. So let's do this. So which transfers do you prefer? And let's get this show on the road. Okay, so let's see if I can actually have enough characters for this. Yeah, I think Akanji does play, and Schlotterbeck should start. That'd be very surprising if he didn't. Anton is the one I have doubts about. So let's go for Anton and Barcola to... Let's put... yeah, we'll put Trent here for now. Trent and Gittins. Let's also do something similar. Maybe instead I'll go for Kim. And it will be Schlotterbeck or Chan. Yeah, or maybe just put Emre Can. Yeah, that looks alright, I guess. Emre Can. Any other 5 million defender? Oh, probably. Okay, what else could we do? Oh yeah, it could be Kim and Jai out, keeping Anton. And then I can get Rafinha. And then get Rico Lewis. I think that is pretty much what it comes down to for my transfer plans. Anyone else? Del Castillo does cross my mind. There are some good options from Monaco. Yield is. But yeah, let's see what you lot think. I'm going to put the Limitless option as well, just to see what you lot are saying. Activate the Limitless. Alright, so this poll is done. Hopefully no autocorrects, like musical for Musiala. So yeah, be sure to vote in that poll as well. Smash the like button. Let's get this to 500 likes. We are very close. And also a massive turnout in terms of the super chats, the live chat, of course, and also the patrons and members. So thank you very much. I did post my team earlier before the stream began, and I also posted the FPL video for Game Week 7, the transfer tips. That is already available to members as well. That is one of the many perks when you sign up. So Mbappé to Vinicius. It's risky. I probably would do it. It all depends on if Mbappé starts or not, and I'm not sure if we'll get that news before the deadline, to be honest. Top 5 forwards for Matchday 2, Lewandowski, Haaland, Haaland, Lewandowski, Vinicius, Kane, and Guirassy, I think, would probably enter my thinking. I mean, you've also got Boniface, who's decent. You've got Gyökeres, but probably that. Salah or Wirtz? Salah. Thank you, Aranya, for being a member for an entire year. Massively appreciated. Hi, Dylan. Would you replace Mbappe, and with whom? I probably would. It's risky. Once again, like I said, he could start the game, and if he does, I think Leo's a great opponent for him. But I could see his minutes being reduced either way to 60, 70, and you could replace him with Lewandowski. I think that's the ultimate one. If you've got Haaland and Kane already, of course, you'll probably keep them. And it might be risky to buy one of them in, but I'd definitely go for Lewandowski this week. I think Foden starts. Foden or Bellingham. I would go for probably Foden at the moment. Salah or Wirtz, covered, mate. I don't know what more you need, in terms of highlighting the message and having it answered, but there you go. Yeah, Schlotterbeck should play. He starts every match for Borussia Dortmund. I'd go for Jude Bellingham over Elise this week. Vinicius and Adeyemi or Bellingham and Guirassy. I would go for Bellingham and Guirassy. Carvajal and Anton to Gvardio, Akanji, Tsimikas, Vanderson. Right. Yeah, I wouldn't go for Tsimikas. I'd go for Gvardio. Yeah, Gvardio and Vanderson there. So in the poll right now, Trent and Gittins is leading quite comprehensively, but it is worth mentioning Liverpool do have RB Leipzig away, Leverkusen at home, Real Madrid at home. Then they've got good fixtures on paper. But yeah, it's kind of like a Matchday 2 punt. I am considering a Limitless in Matchday 3, but it all depends on injuries and how my team looks like in future match days. But once again, if you see anything on Twitter or anywhere, a reliable source indicating, giving news about Haaland, Kane, or Mbappe, I would greatly appreciate it, because we have gotten a lot of questions today. I have provided the latest updates, but there might have been something throughout the stream. So yeah, I'm having a look and seeing if there is anything. But we've got 5 minutes left. I'm going to lock in my team because, yeah, you don't want to leave things to chance. The website doesn't crash often, especially like FPL, which is a kind of a madness, especially in recent years. But you don't want to leave anything to the last minute just in case, and always have the app ready as well. So yeah, I think we're going to go for it. So if we actually look at the dates again, so I would have Blažević now, I'd have Saliba, Grimaldo, Kubarsi, Yamal, Wirtz, Gittins. Yes, and I'd have Haaland and Gyökeres. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'd also have 1 or 2 Wednesday players in my starting 11. That's not the end of the world. So essentially, I'd have 3, 4, 5, 6 players on the Wednesday and 9 on the Tuesday with these transfers, which looks pretty decent, actually. Not a big fan of Kim Min-jae. I saw one source indicate that Anton will start for Borussia Dortmund, but it's just not really ideal. I'll probably have another look now quickly and see if Anton is expected to start. On UEFA.com, they don't have him there, just to let you know. But yeah, I'm not sure what pages are reliable for Borussia Dortmund predicted lineups and stuff like that. So yeah, that isn't great. Let's see, this is another page which is decent, but can't really rely on them for predicted lineups. They haven't gone for Anton in the lineup either. So I probably won't overcomplicate this. I'll go for Trent for now. I can always switch him to another defender. This could be Gvardiol as well, to be fair. But I do like Trent a lot for Matchday 2. And I also like the balance, once again, between the Tuesday and Wednesday. So I think I'm going to go for this as my final transfers. And 42% of you agree. In second place is Kim Min-jae and Barcola out for Rico Lewis and Rafinha, which looks really good as well. That could easily be the highest scoring duo I've mentioned. In third is Activate the Limitless, and in fourth is buying Emre Can and Gittins, but that could lead to issues in Matchday 3 when they face Real Madrid. Better to go for ball recoveries or attacking return potential for defenders. In this instance, I'd go for Bastoni. He's just more secure with his minutes. Dumfries could be rotated, but I think a mixture of both is always ideal. I've got a mixture in my whole defensive line, by the way, because I've got Trent if I buy him, and Grimaldo for the attacking potential, and the rest for ball recoveries. Sabitzer, I think, is fit, but there is a chance he doesn't start. So in another lineup I just saw, it'd be Emre Can with Pascal Gross, Adeyemi, Brand, and Gittins just behind the striker Guirassy. So yeah, let's lock in these transfers now. There's always risk with these moves, but I will be selling Barcola and Anton to Gittins and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I do have 0.5 million in the bank, so I could go to another 5.5 million midfielder. That could be Del Castillo or somebody else, which we've mentioned already, but we've literally got 2 minutes left until the deadline. I don't want to leave things to chance. Yeah, the other players are kind of above my price threshold. I know Nico Gonzalez has been mentioned already a few times, but he is a forward in this game, and yeah, I'm not looking to make a forward transfer right now. So yeah, just for those of you who can't see, yeah, I'll probably make these transfers now. Barcola and Anton, yeah, I'm going to confirm them. So we'll see how it goes. It might lead to some issues later down the line. So now make sure that you have everything settled in terms of your bench. So as you can see, Di Gregorio, Kim Min-jae, Bellingham, and Kimmich all play on Wednesday, the 2nd of October. And then I've got Blažević, Kubarsi, Saliba, Grimaldo, Gittins, Wirtz, Yamal, Haaland, Gyökeres, all on the 1st in my lineup. Haaland's my captain. Yamal was my alternative, maybe a bit safer than Haaland because of the flag, but yeah, I'm going to stick with Haaland in the end, I believe. And Kane is my backup tomorrow. Or I could go for Trent as a cheeky punt. I wouldn't even mind that so much, but yeah, that is my fixed 11. Of course, I've got Trent and Kane in there as well. I have ended up keeping both Haaland and Kane despite the injury concerns surrounding both players. So there we go, we're going to be locked in just a few seconds. Hopefully people didn't copy, but I'm sure someone out there did, which is a shame. Gone for Dumfries over Bastoni. Yeah, fair enough. On the Limitless, it makes sense. I just think with a normal transfer, I would have gone for Bastoni. Yeah, Mbappé recovered. Ancelotti quote just now. Yeah, I think he'll probably start then. And that's a shame for those that probably sold Mbappé already. They might have, regret that in the end. And that's why I always said it's risky either way. My entire 11 is playing today. I had something similar, gold head, but it's fine for Matchday 2. It's just, it might be a problem for Matchday 3 when these players will play on the Wednesday instead. So there we go. We are locked in, lads and lasses. So Haaland is my captain. And I've got Blazwich playing now. Don't concede an early goal, please. At least give me a bit of hope and maybe get some points finally. Masterclass by Ancelotti. Yeah, it's not surprising though, is it? Because he was never going to... Well, I say keep it secret. I mean, he technically has revealed Mbappe's fine, so he's not doing a Guardiola or Arteta. He's being quite upfront about it. As for Harry Kane, the press conference for Bayern Munich is at 8 p.m. today in a couple of hours' time. So unfortunately, we won't find out until after the deadline, which has passed already. Yeah, I would have probably sold Valverde for a -4, but he is the type of player to start every game. Prediction for shocking result Matchday 2. So my current predictions for the Predict 6 is 2-1 Stuttgart against Sparta Prague, 2-0 Inter Milan, 2-1 Arsenal, Shakhtar Donetsk 1, Atalanta 2, Benfica 1, Atletico Madrid 1, Lille 1, Real Madrid 3. But if we look at all the other games, let me have a quick look now. Let's predict a so-called shock, and I hope it's not related to the transfers I've just made. So even though Liverpool can drop all the points they want in the Premier League, don't do it here in the Champions League, please. Okay, so possible shock. I mean, that's the point of it, right? You just don't expect it. Maybe Aston Villa beating Bayern Munich. I mean, is that a huge shock? Not really, but Bayern are still the better team and heavy favourites. That could be one of them. My personal prediction is a draw, possibly a narrow Bayern win. But really, when I'm looking at the fixtures this week, I don't see many so-called shocks, do I? Shakhtar beating Atalanta could be a little one, possibly. Maybe Paris Saint-Germain getting a win at the Emirates. That would be massive. Yeah. AC Milan, actually, getting a draw. You know what? I'm going to go for that one. AC Milan getting a result at Bayer Leverkusen. Because they have been in good form recently. They beat Inter Milan in a recent derby. So, yeah, that's probably the one I'm going to stick with. So, before I get back to your questions and comments, and the chat is still going crazy. We've got hundreds of people watching still. Be sure to smash the like button. Even if you're on your way out, let's get this stream to as many likes as possible. And let's also make big strides towards 29,000, which we're very close to now. Yeah, we're literally 400 away. We got a few hundred subscribers today. At least 200 or 300. So thank you very much for all the support. Let's do a quick shout out then to all the members and patrons because you do deserve it. So big up to Francisco for joining today. Also to Ghana24, Aranya, Adnan, Gary, Callum Jr., Durgesh, Harrison James, Sefer, Tommy Raw, Waiseng, Ahmed, Bestie, Arda Merich, Lastborn XBL, Exotic Log, Miguel Mario, Dombru, Gopal, Toronto Tokyo, Otter King, Kenny Silvera, Abhishek, Gabriel R, Ventislav, Onruli DMV, Rishi, Nathama, Mauro, Aman, Jazabi, Lavanier, Simon Spears, Ulysses, Keith, That Air, George Popescu, Alex Leadham, Gabra Fernandez, and John Grankthis. Thank you very much for the support. Also on Patreon, and we have gotten a lot of sign-ups recently, so thank you very much. Valentin Mercier, Aldo Victoria, Chad Vogler, Lorientu, Gabriel Simeon, Notre Dame, Luke O'Donnell, Daniel Zaremba, Salman, Stephen Reed, Juan, Doran, Matt Steen, Nicole Patel, Alex Orlov, Luis Alexander Perella, Rodrigo Urias, and Federico Caliso. You are all legends. Thank you very much for the contributions towards the channel. And that concludes a very eventful UCL Fantasy stream. As always, we've got 17 match days of this, so buckle up and enjoy the ride. I'd sell Watkins. Well, I would have sold him this week. He could score against Bayern Munich, but I think his ceiling is much lower than Lewandowski and all these other options you've got at a similar price tag. Mbappe to start? Yeah, I think so. If Ancelotti said he's fine, which it seems like he did, I believe he will start, unfortunately, for those that did that. Yeah, Predictor 6, you can see now. Let me know what you've gone for. Locked in and good luck, Dylan. Likewise, Sadindra. Inacio was injured before. If I quickly get up the list of injuries and stuff. So currently, Pedro Gonçalves is out. Same with Edwards and St. Juste. And yeah, I think Inacio is expected to be in the lineup. So he should be fine. Went with Gittins instead of Gravenberch. Yeah, Gravenberch has been really good, by the way, this season. A new man under Arne Slot. But I think Gittins has a higher ceiling. Oh, damn, I confirmed Mbappé to Lewandowski. Okay, I have to say, if there's one transfer I'm still not that fussed about, if there's one player you could have sold Mbappé to, it's Lewandowski. So, yeah, Mbappé might score a brace, but Lewandowski can get a hat-trick. So, don't be too disheartened. It can still go well. Locked in, good luck, Dylan. Another mad UCL stream. Yes, and literally today, of all days, I literally get, I don't know, tonsillitis or some next crap, strep throat. Literally the worst time. But we survived. There was a few times where I almost did like a little, yeah. I just did it now on purpose, by the way, just saying. Millet plays now for me. Good luck, Abdullah. Didn't have much time, finished work at 5:15. Yeah, look, work can get in the way, right, of UCL Fantasy. Well, it's more so the other way around, but I wish you the best there. Arthur says I got robbed. I'm guessing that's in relation to Kylian Mbappé. Furkan says my gut said Yamal was captain last second. That's a good thing. Always back your gut. If Yamal does well, then fair play. Even if it doesn't, you've got another shot tomorrow. But I could see Yamal, Lewandowski, and Haaland all doing really well today if they get the minutes, which they should do. Oh, wow, just sold him like 2 minutes ago. It's typical, isn't it? The news comes out just before the deadline. I mean, it would have given some people who are like me, they like to make really late changes. Like, it would have given them an advantage, but yeah, you can't really beat yourself about it. It was always a risk either way, either holding or selling Mbappe. And look, there's still a chance he doesn't start tomorrow. He might come off the bench, but even in 20, 30 minutes, he can score against Lille. We know that. Sold Gonçalves and Kim to Lookman and Gavadio. I like that. It's good to see different strategies. In FPL, I know we've seen more variance this season and a bit more variety, but I just think UCL Fantasy has many more options and, you know, the template isn't that strong. We don't have like, what, hundreds of creators or dozens of them going for similar teams. And I'll be honest, I don't look at anybody else's team, but it seems like everyone's got the same crap. So, yeah, at least in UCL it's different. Good luck, Ankel, as well. Celtic is a good team. Yeah, no, they could shock Dortmund. I was thinking of it briefly, but I think Dortmund get the win here. It might be a close one, like 3-1, 2-1. But yeah, if you're right, then fair play. Kept Carvajal and Guerreiro. Yeah, not a big fan of Guerreiro against Villa and Barcelona, but he's got a lot of attacking potential. In the lineups I saw, I'm not sure if he was actually in it. So let me double check that. It is UEFA.com. They don't get everything right, but I find them quite reliable. Yeah, they've got Guerreiro in the lineup with Upamecano, Neuer, Kim Min-jae, Davis, Kimmich, Pavlovic, Elise, Musiala, Gnabry, and Harry Kane. But they might have updated some of these during the live stream. But yeah, I just don't like him so much in terms of clean sheet potential. Thank you, Martin. Buena suerte, Dylan. Good luck for everyone. Likewise to you. Benfica will humble Atletico. Possible. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Lille beating Madrid is the shocking result of this week. I hope that happens, but I very much doubt it. Atletico will win 4-0. A lot of different opinions, which is great to see. And by the way, Stuttgart are 1-0 up. You probably are saying it now in the live chat. And if it was Undov or someone, people are going to be like, I told you so, but fair play. Let's see who scored. So for Stuttgart, it was Milot, who was actually mentioned a lot by people. Mittelstadt, the Euro Fantasy legend. Can we call him that? Well, he was decent in that game. He got the assist. So very early start there for Stuttgart. Okay, so at least I got some points in Predictor already. That's looking fairly decent. All right, but maybe I've done something wrong by predicting a goal by Sparta Prague. But there we go, an early goal. It always happens during these streams. It's literally tradition. Didn't have much time to change team. Yeah, it is what it is, though. At least you had enough. Half an hour is still decent, although not ideal. Salzburg will win. Not too sure about that. They were terrible in Matchday 1, but I'm hoping they do. Or at least keep a clean sheet. Well, yeah, nice shout, mate, Bada. Literally just minutes after you say that, he gets an assist. So even if he concedes, not too shabby. Someone said Bellingham isn't playing. Not sure where you got that from, but be sure to let me know. If that's not the case, then yeah, that's not great for me, but it is what it is. Good evening, Dylan. Likewise to you, FPL Cortex. If Haaland starts, I think he gets a brace or a hat-trick. But who knows, mate. Football is a funny game. Got rid of Carvajal and Gonçalves. I wanted to go for Mittelstadt, but opted for De Vrij last minute and Doku with Yamal captain. Some nice punts there. Yeah, I mean, look, you'll probably feel better if Sparta Prague score. Let's go. I have Mittelstadt and Miller. Fair play, Vasco. Really good differentials. about FPL, thoughts on Brendan Johnson? He's in good form. It seems like ever since he deactivated his Instagram account and had the stick from his fans after the North London derby, he's been in good form. I don't trust my gut. I mean, look, it is a gut feeling for a reason, right? You want to base things on, logic and, I don't know, more than gut feeling, but sometimes it is the best way to go. It can lead to points. Does the bench work the same as FPL? It does if you make no subs, but what you want to do is control your substitutions and make them manually. So those on the Wednesday, put them on your bench, and everyone on the Tuesday in your 11, and then you can sub them out for your lowest scoring player. Sub out your lowest scoring players for those that haven't played yet. Likewise, Beardy, have a nice week, and also good to see you, Venom. The FF Frostbite, great name, says, took a hit today. Haaland for Kane, Rafinha for Rodri, and Van der Sen for Kim. I like that. Even though hits isn't ideal in UCL Fantasy, the extended format and also the players you've gone for certainly makes it worthwhile. My only concern is Harry Kane, because I think he starts and he'll probably do well. Which team do you support? Well, Arsenal. They're my local team. I've supported them since day one, really. So, yeah, Arsenal, Argentina, and Rosario Central, they're my holy trinity, so to speak. They're my three teams. I was near to sell Felamendi and Barcola, but hope both will have more points. I wish you the best, but not for Barcola, because I just sold him and he plays my team, so that's a bit of an awkward one. I went a bit different and bought Lewandowski in for Mbappé and captained him over Haaland, who was my captain initially. No, I don't mind that at all. I think Lewandowski is a superb choice. One of my only regrets, I think, in terms of not limitlessing, would be not having Robert Lewandowski. So, yeah, I'm worried about him. I'm not sure if Savio is in the lineup, but he is in the predicted ones I've seen. Szoboszlai is okay. I just prefer Luis Diaz, and of course Salah's by far the best option up front. Savio is last on my bench. Ooh, you don't want to have that. Yeah. That's not good, Arthur, because if Savio does play, well, it doesn't matter actually. He's going to be locked. As soon as the game happens, he is locked in on your bench. So he's not going to come on for you. So that's why you want to put those on the Tuesday in your 11. And then, yeah, as I said earlier, make the substitutions accordingly. That's not true. Bellingham plays for sure tomorrow. Yeah, I saw these kind of rumours in the Matchday 1 deadline stream. I stuck with Bellingham. He played, but was terrible. But at least he got the minutes. More Bellingham news. He'll probably start again like last week. Yeah, there's always something about him. Salzburg goal, by the way. Own goal. Who got the assist, though? That's what I'm wondering. But I appreciate the updates. I'm not watching these games right now, but I will certainly be watching Arsenal versus Paris Saint-Germain later tonight. And tomorrow, I think Aston Villa Bayern Munich looks incredible on paper. Yeah, hopefully. It wouldn't be great if he doesn't play. But let's go back to my team. Is this my team? Yeah, because the transfers have gone through. So 2 goals already by the home sides. 1 apiece for Salzburg and Stuttgart. An own goal for Salzburg. And for Stuttgart, it was Milot with an assist by Mittelstadt. Who got the assist here? Let's actually get the live updates then. Quickly. Who got the assist? Okay, so at the moment it seems like it's a Baidu goal, but it might be wait, checked. VAR review. Decision overturned, goal disallowed. Okay, so yeah, the goal has just been disallowed now for Salzburg. So that has just happened now. But Stuttgart are still 1-0 up. That has definitely stood to definitely the joy of Mittelstadt and Milot owners. So we still have a lot of people watching, by the way. 300 people. Thank you very much. Keep plugging away at the likes and subscribing. Check my links in the description, like my Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, for the latest UCL Fantasy and FPL updates. Join the Discord server, the UCL Fantasy League. Check out my FPL content. If you are a channel member or patron, you can watch the Game Week 7 transfer tips already before anybody else. That is one of the big perks of signing up. Also, check out my Spotify. And if you're on your phone or tablets, leave a 5-star review on my podcast. It goes a long way to support my channel. It's very easy to find me on all these social media platforms. And like I said, all the links are down there in the description. Yeah, offside. Thank you very much for the updates. Yeah, Jared, I just said I support Arsenal, so that's my team in the Champions League. Who is better for this game week, Salah and Gyökeres or Foden and and Lewandowski? Probably Foden and Lewandowski, assuming that Foden starts. So yeah, good stuff, Aranya. All the best of luck. Should I trust my gut and transfer in Garassi and Mittelstadt? Yeah, but you can't have them all, right? I mean, there's so many options in this game. I'll be honest, I didn't really think about Mittelstadt at all. Garassi has crossed my mind. I went for Gittins in the end. But yeah, fair play to Mittelstadt owners. Yeah, it was those last-second transfers. Yeah, I understand that. That's happened to me before. Luckily, when it has been the case for me, it didn't really affect me because they were all unlocked players, so I could always just, modify it afterwards. But yeah, it's always risky making late changes. I want to get rid of Kim and Cup miners basically, but injuries and doubtful startups changed my mind. Yeah, same here. I wanted to get rid of Kim and Jai, but with Anton not starting, I had to get rid of Kim and Jai. Sorry, I had to get rid of Anton instead. Good luck, Arsenal. Thank you, Jerry. Who do you support? I'd be wondering about that. Thank you, Baraf. That's massively appreciated. And yeah, it's good to see you on board all the time in these live streams. I took out the brilliant Gonsalves for Gittins. I hope it works out for you, although I do have an agenda there. But Gonsalves, very good pick. A bit unfortunate with the injury. I've gone Stuttgart 3-0, Prague 2 with a booster. Oh, nice. 3-2. Wait, what? Sparta Prague? Right. Okay, yeah. Inter Milan 3, Red Star 0, Arsenal 3, PSG 1. Not done tomorrow's yet. That's fine. I think it's probably best to lock them in with the lineups if you've got the time. It's my second day at my new job today, and I forgot to do my transfers. Got tomorrow's players starting over today. Captain Kane over Haaland and playing Bargola. Oops, mistakes are to learn from. Yeah, but look, you can't really kick yourself, It's obviously a lot of work and energy, especially in a new environment. I wish you the best in your new job. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but hopefully it doesn't happen again. Always, if you can, try to, lock in your team as soon as possible. But yeah, it's your second day at your job. You can't really kick yourself about that. My transfers were Kane for Lewandowski and Valverde for Wirtz. Yeah, really good transfers. My only concern is selling Kane. Thank you, Arthur. Appreciate you, Dylan. Been around for a while. Yes, not just in today's stream. I do recognise you, Arthur. United. Yeah, not looking good at the moment. I think in the Liverpool and Spurs games, United have looked awful, especially on Sunday. But in the other games, there have been improvements, but I just don't think Ten Hag's the guy. I've been saying that for a while now. Salzburg is trash. Blazwich clean sheet will go soon. I hope you're wrong. I think you're right about the first part, but I hope you're definitely wrong with the second. Time to focus on big FPL week for me. Never want a player injured, but a Haaland knock will do me some good. Man, I can't have that. I need Haaland to get firing, especially in my mini leagues. It's all been tits up ever since Game Week 4 when I made all 3 transfers and then wildcarded in Game Week 6. Yeah, Game Week 5 was okay. Game Weeks 1 to 3 were good, but yeah, 4 and 6 have absolutely killed me. What do you think of Salah as captain tomorrow? Oh, I think Salah's the best captain tomorrow. If I had him, he would definitely be there, as discussed in my Limitless and Wildcard podcasts. But yeah, in my case, I'm probably relying on Kane or Trent. I had 4 or 5 players who scored 7+ points before my wildcard in FPL. Yeah, literally everyone I sold in FPL. Robinson, 7 points. Gordon, 9 points. Jota, 8. Salah, 10. He would have been my captain, so 20. I don't want to think about it, but basically if I did nothing, I would have scored 50, 60 points and still had my wildcard. But either way, I think long-term the wildcard will pay off, but it's not looking good right now. If Brest score, I just hope Del Castillo gets some points. Yeah, he's my favourite Brest option, or option from Brest, just to, avoid the immature people. But yeah, thank you, Dylan. With your help, I managed to win weekly Game Week 1 in my mini league. That's great to hear, Anish, and hopefully you can win it by the end of Matchday 7. It's a long process, a lot of football to be played, and UCL Fantasy should still be fun, despite the changes in the format. How many points from your first captain do you stick? I think with 8+, I'd be probably fine. Now, for some people, if you got a Salah tomorrow or a player of that caliber, you might be tempted to switch. But I think 7+, definitely 8+, I'd be sticking with what I have. Now, if Erling Haaland only gets 6 points, I have to say I'd be tempted to switch. But honestly, with only 2 days and 2 captaincy shouts, yeah, I might just stick with a return. I really would do that. So I'd say 6 and below, maybe I'll switch, but anything above, and I'll probably stick. Probably my best start with a rank of 300k. I do tend to make silly transfers instead of sticking with my gut. Is this for UCL Fantasy or FPL? Be sure to let me know. But either way, really good start. And yeah, FPL had a decent start and it's all gone terribly wrong. UCL Fantasy, strong start, but it's very competitive. I mean, over 100 points and 26k. I mean, it's ridiculous. Dylan captain Luis Diaz. If needed, I think he's fine. There is a chance he doesn't start tomorrow. I'm not saying it will definitely happen. And you won't find out the lineups until, what, 6:45 p.m. UK time? So it would be after the deadline for the substitutions, isn't it? So, yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be a risk, but I think Diaz is fine. I think he'll start, and he's a very good captaincy option. I saw Palmer this week, and he scored 4, bro, and brought in Saka. Took price falls, selling Gordon for Diaz. FPL sucks. That's bad luck, I think. Now, when you sell a player like Palmer, there's always the possibility of losing out on points, but that variance is massive. I mean, Saka had an incredible performance, one of the best I've seen from a winger without a goal or an assist. 8 chances created, 4 big chances created, 8 dribbles, 7 shots. He really should have gotten away with a few attacking returns. My only criticism of him is the finishing, but every other aspect of his game was almost flawless. With Palmer, obviously 4 goals against Brighton's ridiculous high line. Not much you can do about that. Ultimately, I think it was not a bad decision, but a terrible outcome. And yeah, selling Gordon for Diaz, yeah, once again, I think it's the right call. I did the same thing, but unfortunately, it just didn't really work out yet. I'm watching Attack on Titan and Rome. Amazing shows, by the way. Don't spoil anything, though, please, because I'm on Season 2 of Rome and Season 3 of Attack on Titan, but they are incredible. I know some people say, oh, this ending is crap for AOT. I don't know. I have a feeling I'll like it, but I'll go into it with an open mind. But yeah, I've watched a lot of shows recently, to be honest. What do you think of this year's UCL Fantasy prizes? I'll be honest, I'm not really too well versed in that. I'm not sure if there's you win a PS5 and stuff, tickets for the Champions League final, which is kind of typical. Yeah, okay, Arthur, come on. Go on. Don't say that. I mean, you might be trolling there, but I don't want to know anything. Nah, no, I shouldn't have said anything. I'm tempted to go without Haaland and Salah in FPL. Yeah, look, you can build an amazing team with Haaland and without Salah, with Salah and without Haaland, or without both. It's as simple as that. You've got Palmer, Saka, you've got so many choices in each position. And that's what I like about FPL this season. So I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, you know what, the prices favour casuals or whatever, nonsense people will say. But yeah, I've had a bad start now. After the last 3 game weeks, it's been terrible, but there's still a lot of football to be played. Breaking news, Fernandes' suspension has been turned over. He can play the next few games. Really? Oh, I'm going to have to double check that, but yeah, it really shouldn't have been a red card in my opinion. I think Spurs were the much better team. They deserved to win the game. I don't think the red card would have changed the result so much, but that decision in isolation, it's not a red card for me. And it's the same referee who sent off Declan Rice. Terrible referee. They're all pretty terrible. It's best not to speak about them. Let me actually have a look and see and verify what you're saying, even though it's FPL related. Yeah, let me know where you saw it, because I haven't seen it anywhere on Twitter. The Sportazine. So United have won their appeal to overturn Fernandes' red card versus Tottenham. Yeah, no comment. But it's good for Man United to do that because it wasn't a red card. Twister Park, he puts a squad. I think Sabitzer missed Lee Gibbs. So if 1 minute panicked and bought Gittins. Yeah, now Gittins, isn't the most reliable in the long term in terms of minutes, but I think he'll start Matchday 2 and he's got a high ceiling. For that value, you can't really go wrong. Been watching Tokyo Ghoul again. Recommend if you haven't seen it. I'll add it to my list. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power is a complete joke. No, I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan. I love the movies. I'm reading the books right now currently. I'm not going to watch that, sorry. Chris says Rome is spot on. Yeah, I mean, great acting. I just love the show. Really good writing as well. It's another example of a fantastic show cancelled way too early. A bit like Firefly and Deadwood. Really good shows as well. Baraf says, I have Salah. Should I keep him or sell? For Saka. And get Mbuma for Smith Rowe long term. Oh, this is FPL. To be honest, Salah against Palace isn't that bad. But Yeah, it's a bit like Palmer versus Saka last week. I could just see that going wrong either way. It's a really close call. But Mbumo looks really good, I have to say. And I'm guessing Salah to Saka helps you fund that move. So overall, I'd probably do it. Just bear in mind, Salah can punish you, like he did to me. I still don't want Bruno to start in the next 3 games for us, but it's still good to have that possibility. Yeah, Bresco, not too surprised. Like I said with Blažević, it's mainly the rotation with Di Gregorio. So hopefully Juventus keep a clean sheet tomorrow, but it's not looking great. It might just be best to go for one goalkeeper like Kobel or Raya and just stick with them rather than having these 2 options like I've been doing. Yeah, Salzburg is pretty bad. My anime watch list is longer than my FPL rank. Yeah, I was actually thinking of watching Death Note after Attack on Titan, but let's watch this first and see what I think. Yeah, Blažević early clean sheet gone again. Yeah, not too surprised there. Mr. Parky says, I've activated the FPL wildcard. I was tempted to wait until 8, but Saints look so poor. Anything can happen but one Arsenal assets. I thought Leicester could do okay, but I did get lucky. Yeah, I thought similarly when I wildcarded last week. It didn't work out in terms of the result, but still, I'm happy with the picks long term. Yeah, I think 2-3 Arsenal against Southampton looks amazing, but there is that fixture swing in Game Week 9. Chelsea, Newcastle, Liverpool looks very tough. Yeah, my Blažević clean sheet is gone and Del Castillo wasn't involved. Yeah, it's just a lose-lose, unfortunately, but there's still time for Del Castillo to do something. Hopefully he'll arrest a penalty, though. Yeah, if he could save one, that'd be great, but I highly doubt it. I haven't seen One Piece or Vinland Saga. I've heard very good things about them, and they will probably be watched at some point, but I always said to myself for years now, I'm going to watch Attack on Titan. I actually watched the first episode a few years ago, and then watched episode 2, and then just didn't get back to it. But it wasn't like I didn't like it, it's just, it took me time to get into it. So then I watched episode 1 for a second time a few years afterwards. Then once again, similar thing, didn't really get, around to sticking with it. And then, yeah, just a month ago, I was like, you know what, it's about time, and I just love the show. It's in my top 5, easily. So yeah, Blažević clean sheet gone. I recommend Vinland Saga. Yeah, I've got a friend who loves anime now. He used to hate it, and now he's absolutely, he loves it. He's actually got a YouTube channel and makes videos on Vinland Saga and Attack on Titan, so I'd recommend it. It's actually on my YouTube channel. If you check my recommendations, his channel will be on there. So yeah, I'll probably watch it at some stage. How comes the UCL streams are bigger than FPL? I think there's several reasons. In UCL Fantasy, I think fewer people do content, and I've been doing this for years now, so maybe people trust me a little bit, although there's still some haters with pitchforks and stuff. It is what it is. But yeah, it's probably one of the key reasons why I think there's just fewer people doing content, so it's more of a monopoly, you could say. Death Note has a happy ending. Yeah, I have a feeling you're definitely being cynical with your words there. I held the wild card, got 55 points. Yeah, I wish I did for Game Week 6, but you can't go back in time. And ultimately, I think it was a good decision, bad outcome for me, but it is what it is. Most entertainment series and movies are infested with woke agendas. Hard to find a good show to watch. Well, I watch a lot of stuff from the past. Rome's from 2005. I watched Deadwood recently, also 2005. In the last couple of years, I've seen Sopranos and The Wire. Amazing, amazing shows, some of my favorites. And Attack on Titan is, from 2014 to last year. But not Western, so yeah, no woke agendas, it seems. Although the ending is controversial, I've heard. Yeah, I'm wearing a Batman t-shirt. I've got a few Batman ones, actually. This is a Batman skull, which you can't really see properly. So if Fernandes' red card is overturned, do you think points in FPL will also be overturned? No. The points are locked in now, but FPL can still do what they like with bonus points and change it 1 or 2 days after the game is finished. But yeah, the game week is finished. Points can't be amended anymore. I'm not playing Bundesliga Fantasy, just UCL and FPL, and also F1, which I've done quite well in recent years. I think I finished top 1k a few years ago. I need to get the exact rank up at some stage. Really? Lord of the Rings is crap, especially if you read the book, because it completely discredits the book. Are you talking about the films? There's no way you're talking about the films being bad. There are a lot of changes, actually. Minor changes that kind of build up, but I'm not having that whatsoever. Lord of the Rings is one of the best trilogies of all time. Rings of Power, you won't find me disagreeing. That's terrible, but the films are amazing. I did have Semenyo, yeah, but I had Solanke on my bench, which I can't, I can blame myself for that, to be fair, but it was just an awful week. Makes sense. Don't get people who comment on the big streamers' deadlines when nothing ever gets read out. Yeah, I mean, look, people feel that way with my streams, even in FPL and UCL, but sometimes people will actually, I've said this before, and I'm not trying to, be whiny like Eren Yeager, but, people were like, you're not answering my question, why are you ignoring me? And I literally highlighted their message, and I've answered it. So I don't know what more I can do to possibly assist them with their query or their comment, but it is what it is. Another Mittelstadt assist. Is it 2-0? Oh dear, it's not looking good. Not looking good. Oh, it's, no, 1-0 still, right? Oh, wait, I'm getting this confused now with Blazwich and stuff. Yeah, that's all been covered. So Brest are 1-0 up, and so are Stuttgart. Salzburg were 1-0 up, but the goal was disallowed, and shortly afterwards, they have fallen behind. Yeah, there's a lot of fantasy games. I think there's a Swedish fantasy. There used to be Sky Fantasy Football, but unfortunately, it's no longer here. I used to play that. That was actually my first introduction to any sort of, fantasy game. F1 Fantasy. There's also World Cup and Euros, which I cover on this channel. Yeah, of course, FPL, UCL Fantasy. There's Bundesliga and Serie A Fantasy. There's a lot. There really is. What's your top 3 series of all time? I think Attack on Titan is very close to that, and I could see it entering my top 3. Currently, that's 4th, I think. My top 3 is Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and The Wire. Probably in that order, but, picking between them is like picking your favourite son. You just can't do it, can you? Need to start getting back into F1 Fantasy? Yeah. I think over the last few years, there's this tendency to just Captain Verstappen all the time, but it's changed now with McLaren being the best car. I'm doing FPL, Champs, and EFL, but I had a mishap with the deadline. It's difficult to keep on top of. I think 2 is more than enough for me, especially because I do content, I do a lot of research and the graphics and stuff, so any more, and I'll probably, go mad. But I do Euros and World Cup when they come along. Toilet break, Mr. Coverage. No worries, Chris. Good to see you here. Predicting all comps as well, says Twisted Parky. Ah, yes, I do use your predictor, to be fair, but does that really count as a separate thing? Not really a fan of boxing, no. I've seen a few matches live, but not really. Yeah, exactly. Serie A Fantasy. I've heard good things about it. I am a native English speaker. I was born in England, got English nationality, but also Argentinian because of my family. I do play FIFA. I'm actually playing clubs on FIFA 24 because I haven't really played much this year. But I haven't gotten the new one, no. Yeah, I know F1. I mean, I don't know much about it, but, I've watched a lot over the years. I used to be a massive fan of Michael Schumacher back in the day and Ferrari. But, nowadays, I think Verstappen's my favourite. I think his driving style reminds me a lot of Schumacher, kind of win at all costs, which, of course, when there's dangerous driving, of course, you don't like. But I like the mentality of win at all costs. Senna had it as well. Did you watch Snowfall? No. But there's a lot of things I need to put on my list. I've got a very extensive shows and films list. Goal for Sparta Prague. So Stuttgart have, if PB is correct, which I believe he is, it's 1-1 between Stuttgart and Sparta Prague. Any news on the lineups? Not for the 8 p.m. games. We'll probably get confirmation in like half an hour's time, but by that stage I'll probably end the stream because, like I said, I am ill, unfortunately. I got the illness today and /yesterday. Not great timing, but at least we were able to stream for like 3 hours almost, so yeah, quite happy with that. Let's end the poll, which has been going on for a while. Do you expect Argentina versus Brazil in the Futsal World Cup final? Well, Argentina have to beat France first, but yeah, Argentina are very good in futsal, in my opinion. Probably, on paper, that's the most likely scenario, but sport is full of surprises. My best FPL finish is 36,999. Yeah, I hope you do as well. It's going to be very difficult, but still possible. Yeah, I'm looking to beat my previous best rank, but it's looking very tough given what happened in the last 3 weeks. Glad I got into fantasy football. Allows me to watch other teams with more benefits, also know more of the players. Yeah, I think that's a great reason for playing the game. It kind of gets you emotionally invested in, like, Bournemouth versus Southampton. I'm seeing Bournemouth go 3-0 up. I'm like, come on, Semenyo, score a goal. And he does, and I'm happy. Yeah, it gives another dimension to the game, but I'm not going to be one of those people who are like, you know what? I prefer FPL points over my club doing well. You're never going to find me doing that. Fantasy tips and nuggets of Spanish listening practice all in one place. I mean, thank you for the compliments, but no, I have my fair share of bad things, But yeah, my Spanish can improve. I do speak it every single day at home, but my English is way better. Do you think Prime Bale was quicker than Kane and Mbappé? Yeah, Yeah, I think he's quicker. But Mbappe is rapid. Thank you, Rabbi, for the super chat. There is no message in there, so if you want to put something to the public, just let me know without a super chat, but massively appreciated, mate. I don't really know cricket, to be honest. I know tennis a little bit, and my favourite is Roger Federer. Absolutely love watching him, or loved watching him. But yeah, cricket, I know nothing. I played it a few times in primary school, and that's it. Maybe in secondary school as well. Another clash with France, which is a total disgrace for the competition. Yeah, but look, I think France hate Argentina more than Argentina hate France. It's just the World Cup final. In the last 2 World Cups as well, facing each other. But yeah, they're 2 great footballing nations. I think Argentina are better, but, you know, I'm a bit biased there. At what point in this tournament does it become nearly impossible to gain any points on anyone in front of you? Yeah, probably semi-finals and beyond, but it's still possible, mate. I mean, in the Champions League final last season, I gained a lot of rank because I saw a lot of people going for Dortmund assets, and I thought Real Madrid will win. I think I even got the score right. I went for Carvajal in my team. He got player of the match. So you actually can still make a lot of ground in the final, but it becomes more difficult. Thank you, Arthur. I'll see you very soon. Twisted Parky says, I used to like Schumacher, Hill, Mansell, and like the Hakkinen and Rosberg Hamilton battles, but then it started becoming a bit dull. I mean, throughout F1 history, there's always a period of dominance, even with Prost versus Senna. I mean, you've got 2 amazing drivers in the same team, which is very rare, but it's the same constructor winning every single week. You had Schumacher at one stage winning 5 in a row. There were some good years there, but 2002 and 4, he dominated completely. He finished in the podium in every single race in 2002, which is insane. And then, of course, Hamilton at one stage just dominated all the time. That's why I wanted Verstappen to win against him. But I do like Hamilton as a driver. He's really good. But yeah, Mercedes, it became very boring. Even Red Bull recently, until McLaren and Ferrari have kind of upset the balance a little bit. Free kick goal for Braga, just where the devil dwells, says Bader. Planning to play Limitless on Matchday 3, have 3 Bayern, 3 Dortmund and 2 Barca. I'm looking at something similar, but I'm keeping my options open. Very true, luckily Liverpool and Arsenal have a few good assets. Yeah, that is true. It's going to be difficult, I think. We could see some shocks in terms of, one of these top teams not qualifying directly for the knockout stages. Thank you, Godsent. Thanks for all the content you give to us. Feel better, bro. Peace out. Thank you very much. Hopefully. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but yeah, it's just annoying because it's my voice and it hurts every time I bloody speak. Joking, I'm not going to ask for sympathy. Boris Becker for me. Yeah, I mean, he was before my time, but very good tennis player. Also on commentary, that's kind of how I know him. But yeah, there's so many great tennis players, but I just think Federer is like Messi. That's the way I see him. Just very joyful to watch. I overturned 17-point lead in last season's UCL final by going full house Real Madrid defense. Exactly. That's what I mean. It's still possible to usurp a mini league or to go up in rank with these final ones, but it's always risky, of course. Yeah, Sparta Prague score. Middle statistics. Let's go. Yeah. Still 1-1 between Stuttgart and Sparta Prague, so Middlestat has unfortunately lost his clean sheet. Brest are 1-0 up against RB Salzburg, so Blazwich has no clean sheet. Try some unconventional medicine. I've taken a lot today. Vitamin C, like pure vitamin C. Also cough syrup, salt water. Done a lot. I mean, tangerines. There's so many things I've done, to be fair. Tea with honey. If Federer is Messi, what footballers are Djokovic, Alcaraz? That's a great question. You could argue Alcaraz would be someone like Mbappe, really, right? But I do think Alcaraz is on a high level than Mbappe in his sport. I mean, that's the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Djokovic, I don't know. He gives me Cristiano Ronaldo vibes. I mean, Djokovic is the most successful tennis player of all time. He's very well-rounded. Mentally, he's probably the best alongside Nadal. But yeah, I think Djokovic reminds me of Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of the arrogance, the consistency, the longevity, and also the personal accolades. So yeah, I think Djokovic, Cristiano Ronaldo, and then Messi, Federer. That's the way I see it. Good content. Keep up the good work, mate. Thank you very much, Rabbi. I appreciate the super chat as well. Do you think Sporting can win tonight? Yeah, I think they can. It is a tough game against PSV, but I remember in Matchday 1, I had no Sporting assets in one draft, and a Sporting fan said, why are you not going for Sporting assets? I'm like, well, relax, mate. It's a draft. But I was actually backing them to go quite far in the Champions League this season. Yeah, Arsenal's going to be tough. I appreciate the good luck, and likewise to you. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Sporting and Arsenal winning today. When will be the best time to play the Limitless? No, the English is very good, mate. Don't worry. So throughout the summer, I've talked about match days 2 to 7 to play the Limitless, and it's all team dependent. Now, in my personal situation, I'm looking at match day 3 or 4. So that's what I'm leaning towards, but I'd highly encourage you to check out my chip strategy guide. So if you type in UCL Fantasy Chip Strategy on YouTube, you'll see my video, and I break down the chips, the best time to use them, and also the transfers. Nadal is Kimmich. Really? Kimmich? I don't know. Nadal is an interesting one. I mean, he'd kind of be like maybe Maradona. I don't know. It's an interesting one. Maybe that's not the right one. I mean, Nadal was... I mean, he still is obviously active, but he's going to retire very soon. On clay, that's the highest level of tennis probably you ever see. But I just think... I mean, look, he's still really good in hard courts and grass. I think people do underestimate him there. But yeah, I mean, on clay, he's just on another level. I used to play Indian Premier League cricket fantasy. But after the match fixing scandal, I lost interest. Wow. I stopped watching also. I mean, that would do that to you. Unfortunately, match fixing and stuff like that goes along in every single sport. You'd hope it doesn't happen in the competitions we watch, but I don't know. Sometimes you do feel otherwise. You do feel like it's the opposite thing, but I don't want to go too much into that. I regret not placing Yamal with... Is that Jamal? With Odyssey. Ginger and turmeric. Yeah, I actually ate ginger. Thank you for reminding me. Literally just pure ginger, just ate it. But I appreciate the advice. Turmeric I haven't really had, so that's a good one. And slippery elm tree. I should be fine in a few days, to be honest. It doesn't feel major, but famous last words. It is what it is, you know. It's not that bad. Hola Dylan, lo de Blaswich y la defensa de Salzburgo es para llorar. Estoy de acuerdo. Pero como siempre dije, yo fui por Blaswich porque juega en otro día comparado con Di Gregorio. Y ambos cuestan 4.5 millones, pero en este momento no parece como una buena compra. Es malísimo el equipo. Adam says, I said the same too. Djokovic, Ronaldo, Suits, and Mbappe, Alcaraz too. What about Nadal? I think that, yeah, look, Neymar and Suarez, amazing players. I think Neymar's really disrespected, and Suarez is one of the best strikers of his generation, but I think Nadal is like GOAT status, right? So a Maradona or Pele, even though, of course, Nadal's much more recent. Even an R9, maybe R9's a good example, you know, a lot of injuries, he missed a lot of tournaments. I think that would probably be it. And talent-wise, you could argue Nadal, without those injuries, would have been the most successful player of all time. Some people say that about R9, so that's kind of the way I'd see it. So Nadal, the Brazilian Ronaldo, then Djokovic, the Portuguese Ronaldo, Cristiano, and then Messi, Federer. That's the way I see it, but everyone's got their own opinion. Sinner is Pogba. That's a good one. Did the price changes in UCL? That's a good question. I've been so focused on these comments, and which have been really good. I haven't actually had time to think about that. So let's have a look. Right. Let's look at the transfer section. Yeah. So the prices will change for the matchday 4 deadline. The matchday 3 deadline. So I'm fairly sure in the rules it states after the matchday 2. No, sorry, after matchday 3. So yeah, no changes have happened so far. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, unless they happen in the next day or so, I'm fairly sure. Wait, I'm guessing the prices rose. Okay, maybe I'm wrong then, and it hasn't. Oh, I'm stupid. Yeah, no. You got me. Yeah, Gyökeres and Kane have gone up. So yeah, in the rules it does say after the matchday 2 deadline, prices do change, and it's based on performance from matchday 1. Ownership has nothing to do with it, so apologies for that. For a second, I thought I saw no price changes and I got gassed, but no. You are correct. There have been a lot of changes there. What's your take on Nick Kyrgios? Talented, moments of brilliance, but also I just think he lacks that mental discipline. And yeah, of course, he's kind of like a wind-up merchant, so it is what it is. Djokovic is the legend of tennis, number-wise, despite being very controversial for some people. Don't get me wrong, he's a legend, of course, just like Cristiano Ronaldo. I just think in terms of style and maybe personality, I think he's like Cristiano Ronaldo, and Messi's like Federer in terms of the skill, the natural ability, and also, I mean, you could argue both of them are very consistent, but Djokovic's longevity is incredible, of course. He is a legend, and sometimes I do feel like rooting for him because, you know, everyone's against him. I get that, but yeah, Federer's my favourite, and that'll never change. Panda says, do I get extra transfers in the next round if we roll? If you roll, you do get one extra transfer, so free overall. You don't get more than that. I used to play football every single day, basically. Nowadays, not so much, only from time to time, really. I was more of a goalkeeper, actually. Maradona equals Federer, GOATs. Yeah, I mean, look, I could see that. I personally think Messi's the best I've seen. Maradona's a bit before my time, but he'd be in my top 3 rankings, Maradona. Also, the Argentinian factor plays a big part. Do you have bother trying to harvest value during the week after you play the wild card? A little bit. I don't play big attention to it, but if I have a bit of time, I'll, buy players that are about to rise in price and maybe build a bit of team value that way. Federer, Messi go smooth. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Messi fans recently, back Djokovic, and say he's the Messi of tennis, and I disagree, but everyone's got their opinion. In terms of like the most successful and stuff, that applies for sure. But I just don't think Djokovic has the natural ability of a Messi or Federer. Sinner's like Haaland or Vinicius. Yeah, Sinner's a top quality player. I think the Pogba one was a good comparison though, based on the recent scandals. Honestly, think Alcaraz can surpass Nadal in terms of slams. He could surpass Djokovic as well, to be honest. It all depends on competition, injuries, as you say, and many other factors. But yeah, I do think tennis is weaker now. I think we're a bit blessed, from the early 2000s up until, I'd say, late 2010. I think the last 5 years or so have been, especially last 4 years, has been terrible. For the most part, there have been some good years. I think now we're finally seeing Sinner and Alcaraz, kind of leading a new generation. There have been some good moments, but I think this decade has been quite poor. Yeah, I play Challenge on FPL, so that counts as another one. Yeah, I think so. There's also like some spouse stuff involved, which I'm not really too well versed in. Yeah, Sampras was amazing. Agassi, another great player. And of course, there's so many to name. Kyrgios Balotelli, that's a good one, yeah. Which youngster do you find with a high ceiling? Garnacho or Barcola? That's a close one. I'm going to lean towards Garnacho, but not by much. I think Garnacho's very raw, and this season Barcola's certainly been better, so I might be wrong about that. Only just noticed the price changes myself. Glad I got Gravenberch and Gyökeres in before their price hikes. Yeah, Gittins as well in my case. He's gone up. Grimaldo's gone up for me. Blazwich hasn't gone up. I'm just happy he hasn't gone down. Thank God. But give it one more match day or two. You probably will go down. Federer is elegant as a player, Nadal composed and ferocious, and Djokovic more like a machine. I rooted for him standing his ground against COVID vaccine. Yeah, look, they're all great players in their own right. There's different arguments for each of them. Nadal on clay is the best version of tennis you'll ever see. I think Federer in his prime is the highest level of tennis across all surfaces, and that domination, you'll never see that again. And I think Djokovic for the longevity and the mental resilience. There was a time where he kept like retiring from matches, but I'm not sure if it was physical issues, asthma, I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, he's obviously got over that now, and beating him is so difficult. Should Simeone play more attacking with Atletico? In the last couple of years he has done, but he's really a defensive first sort of manager. His teams play like him, during his playing days, very aggressive, going for every tackle. But look, he's gotten great results with Atletico. He's been there for 12, 13 years. I don't think he'll really change much. I think Wirtz is better than Musiala in UCL Fantasy. As a player, I think Musiala. Alcaraz is a bigger prospect, and maybe we're possibly seeing the next GOAT along with Sinner. Yeah, I think Alcaraz is better, but Sinner's a very good player too. And in this calendar year, Sinner's been more consistent. If Haaland does not take off, would you captain Salah, Kane, Trent, Carvajal, or Kimmich? Oh, Salah for sure. Definitely. Man, I haven't watched tennis since the days of Lendl Becker, McEnroe, and Agassi. Yeah, a very long time. But you've got the experience, you know all about it. But wow, that's actually quite surprising because you missed out on some of the greatest players of all time. I mean, to be honest, so have I. I haven't seen those players live, but yeah, you could argue the golden generation for tennis. Yeah, in the 80s, maybe 90s, and also I'd say 2000. Yeah, I'd say late 2000s and 2010. Do you play tennis? No, I haven't played that in a long time. I played a few tournaments, did quite well in them, but yeah, tennis is good. I'm better at football naturally, but I wasn't so bad at tennis. Yeah, Blazwich is bad, so was RB Salzburg. I don't think there's Europa FPL, but there is a predictor for that tournament. No worries, Wasif. Hopefully your team still looks very good though. if Man United are to sack Ten Hag next week, who do you see as a good replacement for him? Well, Nagelsmann isn't a job, so I don't see him leaving Germany. Thomas Tuchel would be a cup manager for me. And don't get me wrong, tactically he's very good, but his league record is very poor. This is a difficult one, actually. I'd have to think about who's available right now. Maybe Zidane, but there is a bit of a language barrier. I think he does speak a bit of English. I could see Zidane doing well. I'm not going to lie to you. It's just like a gut feeling I've got. But do I see him going to United? Not really. Imagine Mourinho as the coach of Portugal. Eventually that should happen, right? And I think he will fit international football like a glove. The only fantasy game I've seen use the Europa League games as Dream Team. Yeah, that's correct. Who do you think will win the World Cup next year? Well, in 2 years, but yeah, less than 2 years now. I hope Argentina, but it's so difficult to retain the title. Spain are looking strong. I think at the moment the best national teams are Argentina and Spain. But I think the likes of England, Brazil, and who else is there? England, Brazil. I think one of those two, I could see them going far. And I'll be honest, I really wouldn't want to see that. That's kind of like my nightmare final. And yeah, I just can't have Brazil winning it. Southgate, no chance, mate. No chance. I think that'd be a bad one. Argentina had some great tennis players, Nalbandian and Del Potro, for instance. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think Nalbandian is the only player to beat Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal in the same tournament. And Del Potro, very unlucky with injuries, unfortunately. Yeah, they actually knew. When did they know? What was their reaction? Well, at one stage, they actually played... Sometimes they play the videos when I'm there. And this was before I made FPL videos consistently. I was kind of doing Arsenal and Premier League predictions. I don't know. I felt a bit embarrassed, I guess. But yeah, look, it's funny. I'm kind of more used to it now. People playing my videos and stuff or asking me for my channel. But yeah, it's not a big deal, you know. Wasif puts his team. Still looks very strong, mate. Still looks very good. As long as you've got the right captaincy, I wouldn't have too many complaints. Who's your backup goalkeeper, though? That's what I'm wondering. Oh, you still made the transfers. That's absolutely fine. Knowing the management, they will appoint Gareth Southgate. That would be terrible. Zidane says he doesn't want to go to the Premier League due to language barrier. Yeah, exactly. I just think if he were to go there, I think he'd do a really good job. There's probably another one I'm forgetting. Jurgen Klopp. That's never going to happen, ever. He's also linked to the USA. Well, he was before Pochettino took that job. So, Twister Parky says, I tried to harvest some FPL value last night, but Watkins rose and it didn't look like he would so missed that. And I mistakenly sold Smith Rowe for McNeil. I'd encourage you to check out Fantasy Football Hub. It's not 100% spot on, but quite reliable overall compared to other algorithms. England never going to win anything. But I think this team is really good. And with the right manager, I think England not necessarily win the next World Cup, but they've got a great chance. So let's wait and see. I want Ronaldo to score his 1,000th goal in the World Cup final. I mean, Portugal have a really good team, but I just don't see that happening. I think with Cristiano Ronaldo, he's a great player, one of the best of all time, but I think Portugal need to move on from him. That's the way I see it. I think they play better without him. Yeah, France are always up there with a shout. I mean, in the last 20 years or so, 26 years, they've been the most successful national team. Am I an expert right now? I'll be honest, I don't really like using the word expert for FPL UCL Fantasy anyway. You could self-proclaim yourself as one. I've never done that myself, even when I've been asked that. So yeah, if you want to feel that way, then feel free. New England coach Klopp. Mate, if that happened, even Mourinho at some stage, I could see England winning a tournament. Zidane speaks fluent English and Spanish and Italian. There is nothing such as language barrier. Maybe a cultural barrier, but yeah, you might be right. Even Guardiola, Iraola didn't speak English when they first came. I think Guardiola spoke a bit of English, just not, obviously Spanish is his first language. But I remember during his Bayern Munich days, he had his famous English responses. Average Argentinian stream be like, I'm just saying, mate, I just don't think I think he holds Portugal back now. I mean, it's not really that bad thing of a say. In the last couple of years, that's been the case. Everyone's got their opinion. I used Hub lol. Watkins was 8th most likely. Yeah, sometimes when wildcards are played, especially a lot of them, and that happened in Game Week 6, they can be quite inaccurate. As good as tennis is as a sport, but it's considered an elite one, unlike football. That's why in like, you know, the Laureus Awards and stuff like that, the kind of sports personality stuff, tennis tends to win over football. But I think Messi's the only one to win a Laureus Award, and he's actually won 2 of them. La Liga, Premier League, Serie A, Bundesliga, Liga 1, how would you rank them? Right now, Premier League first, La Liga second. Close. Serie A, I think Bundesliga third, Serie A fourth, and Liga 1 fifth. But that's all subjective, I think. You know, in the days where people kept saying Premier League's the best and stuff, but La Liga won all the trophies, I would have said La Liga is the best. But I think in the last 5 years or so, possibly in the last 2 or 3, I think the Premier League has surpassed it again. I don't really like either. I think Barcelona play better football. They both have their controversies, especially with decisions and stuff. If I had to pick, probably Barcelona. Have there been any updates on Haaland and Mbappé about whether they're going to start? Mbappé is apparently fine, according to Ancelotti, so he should start. And Erling Haaland trained and also travelled, same with Harry Kane. Bruno appeal got accepted. He won't miss any matches. Yep, that is the case. Are Brazil current national team worse? Like Ronaldinho says, of course, they've been terrible for a few years now. I think Tite did an okay job, but he papered over cracks with the defensive football. But yeah, Brazil have needed a restructuring for quite a while now. And they've been awful in World Cups in the last 20 years or so. We probably need a German if we want to win anything. Maybe. I mean, England, I know they've got an Irish manager right now in place, an interim, but yeah, I mean, I just don't see England going beyond the English pool of managers, and that could be Eddie Howe. Thank you, Callum Jr. I'll see you very soon. Would you choose 2008 Ronaldo or 2008 Anthony? Of course, Ronaldo. League One is not that competitive. It's still decent, but yeah, I think the others are better. Are you planning to wildcard or Limitless in Matchday 3? At the moment, probably Limitless. Foden starts. Thank you for the update, Twisted Parky. All the lineups will be out very soon, but I will be heading off now. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Foden versus Palmer. I think Foden's a better player, but there's no denying that Palmer has been incredible this season and over the past year. I go in Rashford thinking he would be on pens, but now Bruno's available for the games. Rashford could still be a decent punt, but I just would avoid all United assets for now. Maybe Mazraoui as a 4th or 5th defender is okay. I'm not sure what he's saying, to be honest. I've just got engaged with the conversation. Japan, probably serious underdogs. They always seem to be serious underdogs. That's the thing. But yeah, I think Japan could go far, but it will be quite a while until African and Asian teams can win the World Cup, in my opinion. But hopefully it happens one day. What do you think of Pep? As a citizen, I want him to stay at City. No, he's one of the best managers of all time. Despite the controversies at the clubs he's been at, I think you can't deny the tactical genius, and his teams play great football. Yeah, England seem like they're kind of waiting and trying to pounce on him leaving City. I don't see him going to England. I'm a Barca fan. Do you like Barca because of Messi? I don't necessarily like Barca, but I just prefer them a little bit more than Madrid because of the Argentinians they've had, like Maradona. I know Real Madrid have also had Argentinians, but not as many. Palmer's better than Saka, clear? No, mate. Saka's better. Not a goal merchant. What? Have you seen Salah's hair transplant? Yeah, a lot of players have had that, to be fair. I don't like the 4 million defenders. I think the Monaco one I mentioned earlier, Salibu, is it? I probably butchered his name now because I remembered it incorrectly. Let me get this bloody name up very quickly before we wrap up. No, Salibu? No, I'm thinking of Saliba, bruv. What am I doing? Monaco. Let's get this up very quickly. Monaco. Because I said the name earlier. Salisu. Thinking of Malibu or something. Yeah, Salisu is probably my favourite 4 million defender. Morocco did arrive to the semis, and with their lineup now, I can see them going far again. I don't think they'll go far in the future competitions, but I might be wrong. You are right. They had a really good tournament. Even in 1998, Turkey finished 3rd. Or no, it was in 2002. They finished 3rd in that tournament. So yeah. Gundogan and Nunes start. I'm just hoping Haaland does. Is Van de Ven a good replacement? Good option for Robinson replacement? I don't think Spurs will get that many clean sheets, but they got good fixtures until Game Week 11, so I'm not against that. Time for you to have a warm, Tisane, and settle for tonight's games. Yeah, I'll still be a good bit nervous, of course, emotionally invested. Why are all French players suddenly retiring? Well, they've kind of gotten to the top, right? Won the World Cup. No Euros, but yeah, it makes sense. No Varane and Griezmann, you are correct. Yeah, Griezmann is quite surprising. He's 33 years old and still had something to offer, in my opinion. Salisu, yeah, exactly. Salisu's my favourite 4 million defender in UCL Fantasy at the moment. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. A very extensive live stream, over 3 hours. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Even if you're on your way out, let's try to get this stream to as many likes as possible. Thank you to those that have done so already. And a massive shout out to all the members, patrons, and also super chatters today. A lot of great messages and also questions being posted today. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for my Patreon and the championships for early access to my videos, amongst many other perks, the Discord server, UCL Fantasy League, Draft Hound, as well as Spotify. Leave a 5-star review on my podcast. It goes a long way to support my channel. They don't have the hunger left, says Prias. Peace out, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, the lineups are ready. Lewis and Haaland start. That is good news indeed. Maybe not for me in FPL, because I do have Rico Lewis, and I'm hoping he starts in Game Week 7, but I'll talk more about that in the future videos. Thanks for the effort and good content. Peace out. Thank you very much. A good way to end it, I guess. Haaland does start as predicted. I was asked to buy him a lot today, which makes sense, but I do think people sometimes fearmonger a little bit too much. Thank you to everyone. It's been a pleasure talking to all of you. I'll see you very soon for more UCL Fantasy and FPL content, even though we've got an international break coming up very soon. But I'll see you very soon for the next few live streams and videos. Take care.